We are
All right, good.
live.
Well, you gotta clean your underwear, man. You have to do it. It's a
Hey,
daily thing.
hey, yo!
You know what I mean? You can't do that inside out shit. You can't do
Don't,
that.
don't tell the people that.
I'm sorry, it's too early in the morning. I
Hey,
apologize.
hey, man.
Yeah, what were you two talking about on the live stream?
We
Oh,
talked a lot
brother.
in those 5 hours, brother.
That's what I'm
Dude,
saying.
we really talked like quite a bit. We actually did.
Put two Puerto Ricans in the room. What's gonna happen? They're gonna talk forever.
Some weird shit's gonna come out.
Dude, no, after a while it became loony hours. We started talking bullshit.
We
That's what I'm
did. We did.
saying.
Yeah.
I think you guys went to. I went to bed before you guys. I was like, God damn, y'all were still streaming.
Went to bed at 4.
God damn.
Yeah, I went to bed at 4. Yeah, that was after beating the Godskin duos or whatever they are.
Bullshit duo.
Some wild stuff.
Yes, sir.
Yo, so something cool happened at my school this week. We're doing this project that's basically like the school has this thing called like Hall of Fame where eventually like if you like once you graduate there's like after 10 years from like that original graduation date, if you're still someone who like contributes to the school and like does talks and kind of gives back to the school and stuff like that, and you're like you made it into the industry obviously and stuff like that, then you get inducted to like their Hall of Fame shit. And they'll have people who are close to the Hall of Fame inductee give a speech in front of like this big crowd and shit like that. So we're doing this project that's basically like a Hall of Fame speech, like inducting a past inductee into the actual Hall of Fame. And there's multiple people that you can choose from, and like I was just scrolling through the list, and I see this guy named Sean McCabe, and he's like the head of technology at Insomniac, and he's been there for like yeah. So first of all, like a guy who has been at Insomniac for 18 years graduated from the school that I'm going to, which is pretty cool within itself.
Nice.
He's worked on Ratchet 3, Up Your Arsenal, Resistance, Spider-Man, and I think Rift Apart as well.
Wow.
And funnily enough, if you guys remember that tweet that came out like a couple days ago that was saying like, hey, we need, I think it was like a programmer, like, hey, at Insomniac we're hiring for such and such for a unannounced like multiplayer project. That was this guy who tweeted that, and that was kind of like the tweet that like blew up. But then like what made it really cool was that like I was just watching, I think it was the Dice Awards,
hmm
and Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart won for I think it was like best it was like technical achievement or something like that. And he was actually the dude that went up on stage and like accepted the award. So I was like, I knew I saw this guy somewhere before, and then yeah, it clicked once I finally like started reading about him and shit like that. It was like, yeah, it was pretty wild.
You were like that DiCaprio meme who was like pointing at the screen. Hey, that's him.
Yeah, exactly like that.
Nice, man. Oh, how's that feel to like no like legit like this is where like legit like talented people have like stem from.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. There was one of my classmates gave a presentation about like some guy at Pixar who was like responsible for like some of the like most iconic characters, and like he's worked on The Incredibles, Up, Wall-E, Toy Story 4, like a bunch of shit. Um, so yeah, just stuff like that is
Yeah,
pretty cool to
just
learn.
small independent movies. Yeah, some niche
Yeah.
movies.
Sounds like sounds like my dream school, to be honest with you.
Oh, dude.
It's pretty cool so far. Yeah, I finished some like my first class in this like 29-month program. Like I just finished it yesterday. So now starting in May, I'm in a different class. And then we go from there.
Do you feel like
Yeah.
you learned a lot in that class that you just finished?
Yeah, I mean it was pretty like I don't want to say simple, but it wasn't like anything like too
So,
strenuous or anything like that. It was just like creative presentations, so it was just like an introductory class about like, you know, how to give like good presentations and stuff like that.
right. Okay, so like more basic. Yeah, more basic stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So like once I think after like month 6, I want to say is when I start getting into like the more intensive like degree specific classes, like the things that like are actually like about my degree, even though like still like this class was still things I'm going to use in my degree and stuff like that. But yeah. Dude, we had I don't even know if I want to say this on stream, but we had someone present yesterday who like once they got up there, they like the nerves hit them, man, and they started like
Oh,
crying and they couldn't uh
Oh,
it was
oh
so
man.
awkward, man. I felt so bad.
Oh man.
Yeah, it sucked,
Well,
man.
not everyone, is great for public speech.
Thankfully, they eventually like came back and they were able to do it, but yeah, that
That's
first
nice.
time was awkward.
yeah. It's. I mean, it's pretty overwhelming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I
Like
used to.
I understand that kind of feeling of like kind of being in the same room with people you kind of not fantasize, but like just always
Revere
thought
like a
about
lot.
what it'd be like if you met them, kind of thing.
Right. You
And I
idolize
was like,
them.
it was yeah, it was like well, it was like that at PAX East.
Mm.
Um, and when I went to the Kingdom Hearts event in New York, where I actually talked to like the developers, more like the marketers, like the people that actually work on social media and stuff like that. But still, it's like being in the same room with the people that, have some influence on the thing that you love the most is it's
Mm.
overwhelming at times. So,
I bet, man.
Yeah.
but I can imagine. Like honestly, if I was in the same room with some Pixar creators, I was like, dude, like Toy Story is my jam. Like
Dude, hell yeah.
that's my thing. Like you know what I'm
Dude,
saying? Like that's the little toy soldiers just marching about. Like that brings back memories, man.
I feel like
Love it.
that's something that I don't dread it. You know how like even voice actors they always get like, oh, I really liked you in this, and it's like their most popular thing. Like if I meet Bob Odenkirk, I'll be like, dude, Saul Goodman, amazing role. I love Better Call Saul so much, man. Like you're amazing. Like they know they're gonna get like the praise from the specific shows. I want to be able to like know the most underground stuff, like the most indie thing that they've done, and be like, dude, I really liked you in, I don't know, like in The Forest. And they're like, whoa, I haven't heard The Forest in 19 years. You're my new best friend, or something like that. I don't know.
Hoping to win some rapport.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, are you watching Campaign 3 for
uh,
Critical Role?
yes, sir. Yes,
I
sir.
I guess that's something I can save until the like what we're playing segment, but yeah, I've been surprisingly getting into that. Um,
Woo! My
but
boy.
yeah, man, let's get started with the podcast. Everyone ready?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. I'm
Hey,
ready.
wait, hey, welcome. Welcome.
Oh, you're the host now?
I'm the host. I'm the
Look
host.
at me, look at me. Oh, yeah. Carry
I'm
Go
the
on.
ahead,
host.
go ahead, Walt. Take it away, man.
Well, welcome to the. No, you're good. You good. You good. Welcome to the Thunderdome.
Yeah, it's not that easy, huh?
I'm crying.
All right, guys, welcome to the 58th episode of the DualShock and Sense Podcast. I'm your host, Soul, the connoisseur anime wife, who's joined as always by my two co-hosts. We got my co-host Walt here. How you doing, man?
Hello, y'all. Co-host Walt over here, reporting for duty. Uh,
Today's resident streamer.
I am the resident streamer today. You're gonna be seeing a recently respect mage dying a lot. I'm testing out the waters of an intelligence build. Nice to
Look
be
at this
here.
man already fluffing his pillow so people don't
Oh god,
people don't
man,
come after
this is
for
gonna be
this
bad. It's gonna
gameplay.
be bad, man. But yeah, man. Getting ready to talk some top. Not too bad of a week news wise. A little bit happened. A little bit of not happened, but more setting up for things to come, and a lot of clownery, a lot of tomfoolery on the tweets. You know what I mean? But yeah, man, we're here, and I just got hit real hard. But we're here, man.
And we also got Macho. How you doing, man?
Doing good, brother. Doing good. What's going on, everybody? This is King of Kingdom Hearts and the Final Fantasy fanatic. Back to you
Psych.
live. with a DualShock Sense.
I'm
I'm
really
tired,
interested.
dude. I'm tired, dog.
Exactly. That's what I was just gonna point out. Is I'm really curious to see how this. I'm rubbing my hands together because I'm curious to see how this podcast is gonna go. See if y'all can keep up the. See if y'all are walking a mile in my shoes right now.
Yeah.
going to bed at 4 a.m. and having to do a podcast in 6 hours later.
I don't know, man. I think I already got a head start because I put on my big red nose and my clown wig. So so I think we're already ahead of the game on that one. And filling in your big ass shoes.
Hey, man, my shoes ain't that big.
Okay.
Them Ronald McDonald shoes? No.
Nah, it's more like the Hamburglar, man.
Yeah. Got the little suit and everything.
Yes, sir.
What's that purple thing called? It's
Grimace?
not Barney.
Grimace?
His name is Grimace? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, Grimace, I think.
Yeah, you can't be having that at a fucking kid's restaurant, man.
Seriously. No, I'm doing good, man. Yeah, I'm a little burnt out, a little tired. I was people that are aware of our streams, man. Me and Walt streamed Elden Ring for like 5 hours last night.
Yes,
I
sir.
didn't go to bed till 4 in the morning. I got really far in the game, but yeah, I'm kind of feeling it, dog. I didn't get that much sleep last night. It's crazy, but I'm just gonna blame it on my fiance snoring. So.
Damn. Heard that, Sammy?
Alright, guys, we want to remind you to go ahead and like and subscribe to the channel. We would really appreciate the support on the last podcast, man. That was really awesome to see. So yeah, we appreciate it, and
Yes, sir.
yeah, looking forward to continuing that. So yeah, without further ado, let's jump into the games that we have been playing this week. Who wants to kick it off first?
I'll go. Actually, so give you a break. So. But yeah, so the week again. Oh man, it was such a long week, man. The one thing I just remember playing consistently was Parasite Eve, and I love this game. I think it's fantastic. It's amazing. I have to put the big ass butt in the middle of my sentence here though, because dude. I ran to the PS1 jank, the PS1, like the old school stuff that would just make you want to throw and chuck your PS Vita, your controller, whatever you got in your hands, man. It wasn't really I would say like maybe like day 5, which is like you're probably like at least like maybe 4 or 5 hours away from beating the game, give or take. Man, they upped the difficulty crazily. Like it's like the difficulty curve and for some of these enemies just it really gets in there because I mentioned before, our Parasite Eve is a mix of Resident Evil and Final Fantasy. A lot of that Final Fantasy elements really comes in at near like the last half of the game where you have status ailments, and obviously you can do them to enemies, but they also do them to you. So it was annoying as hell having giant ass bats just throw out sound waves and just cause darkness, which is basically makes you like blind, so you basically miss every hit that you do. And your main character Aya has a gun, so she's gonna miss every damn bullet until she doesn't have the status ailment anymore. But on top of that, the bosses were absolutely insane. I would say that they get a lot beefier, but you also get a lot of crazy cool like moves and really Final Fantasy like special attacks and stuff like that. So all that junk was like mad cool. And back in my mind, I was thinking about, man, I should play Dino Crisis like next because Resident Evil and dinosaurs, that would be really cool. No, Parasite Eve actually fills in that gap, guys. Like the last level is in the natural what was it? It's a history of a museum or some natural history museum, something like that.
Yeah,
in New York,
yeah.
It was. But that was basically like the last level, and it's just bombarded with obviously dinosaurs too. So you're fighting dinosaurs in this place. I was like, dude, this is amazing. Like we're getting some back to life mutated dinosaurs, T-Rexes, Triceratops too is when you fall, and you actually had to blow off like it's like the headpiece that it has in order to actually kill it, which is really gruesome and super cool. Parasite is a winner, but yeah, man, the final boss I had to repeat 4 times, and
Damn.
It was painful, dude. It had a sequence, the very last sequence, You know how some bosses have that. I think so. You probably may have ran into like some Resident Evil games, maybe Resident Evil 3, where like, or I'm not sure if it was as forgiving, but like it has like one hit kills like sequences where obviously if you get caught, you're just gonna die. You have to repeat the sequence. This happened in this game, except there was no save point, obviously, between the one hit kill and you fighting the boss. So that was the reason I had to actually repeat the boss 4 times. And a lot of it was because of stupid mistakes. The first one was it's because I was looking at my phone and texting, and I didn't see the little goo that was coming after me to kill me in one hit. I look at my screen, I see game over. I'm like, wait, what?
What happened?
What happened? What's going on? And so I do it again. And mind you, I need to go to bed. I have to go to work the next day. But I'm so stubborn. I'm determined. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna beat this boss. I didn't do it, and I ended up dying again. And it was because Aya has a little animation when she opens up the door in that last sequence. So she needs to like actually pull the door because it's super heavy and stuff like that. And so she goes up to it and starts pulling, and she gets through the door. I'm like, all right, cool. But the camera shifts, and I end up going backwards. So she goes towards the door and opens the door she just came out of. It's little goo thing was like, hey, what's up, buddy? And just smacks me and kills me in one hit. The third time I was like, all right, well, I know there's a save point right between like the first area and you know right where you need to get where you're gonna get killed, stuff like that, or it's potentially killed. So I'll save right there. And the thing is, in this game, the way you save is that you have to get to go up to a telephone, and then Aya calls into the police station, and that's how she saves her progress. I don't know why that makes sense, but it does. So in my head, I'm like, all right, cool. I'm gonna call the police station, save the game, and in that way, if I die, I can just load that point, and it'll be easier to kind of like I don't have to do the boss again, like for like the 3 transitions that it does. So I go to the first door, I go to the telephone, and you hear the noise you don't want to hear, fellas. The phone is out of service.
Oh.
So all you hear is that annoying tone, and then I see nothing but that green glob of ooze just inch towards me as I'm trying to save, and I can't, and I fail, and I die again.
Damn.
But
Damn,
that 4th
that
time, I
sucks.
was victorious. I was clenching my PS Vita, white knuckling it, and ended up beating the game. And all I have to say is that I wish Square would just remake this, and it'll be super special. Obviously, they have to make a lot of changes, but man, the story in this game is actually really freaking cool, and it has a lot of ideological themes throughout with it, and on you know humans and how they envelop the world, and are they parasites of the world that they're inhabiting, and why Eve has her motivations for why she wants to actually get rid of the human race because she sees them as parasites of the world and it needs to reset. Like there's a lot of really cool themes throughout in that game that gets sprinkled in and out, and it's awesome to see. And I really kind of wish that they will do a remake because I feel like it would hit a lot of people this day and age. So yeah, man, Parasite Eve was an absolute winner. I hope it gets a remake. But yeah, man. So that was I think that was the biggest highlight of this week, other than playing Bloodborne and finishing that up. I got the last 2 endings that I needed for that game, and I actually did the DLC. I did the Old Hunters DLC, and it was rough. It was a lot of fun. Orphan of Cause can absolutely just go to hell, but Lady Maria is like one of the best boss fights from Software has ever done. Like it's so cool, dude. Yeah, I was getting chills with the music, the bobbing and weaving, like what the wall has called it before, just a dance of 2 tried and true hunters. Like it's so cool, man. It's so cool, and the setting's amazing too. And the clock tower, it's absolutely just a feat of what they've done. Yeah, it's not as hard as I was expecting it to be, but regardless, I think the actual boss fight itself is just like it's one of those moments that it's so cinematic that it's like forever being imprinted in your brain of like what you're doing and how you're interacting with Maria and how you're kind of just bobbing and weaving and weaving and bobbing. Like, it's so cool, man. I love that boss fight.
I haven't fought her obviously, but she's just like another example of like, to me at least, of From Software just knowing they know how to name shit, dude. They have like the coolest
Mm.
names in the fucking industry, man. Like Lady Maria of the Astral Clock Tower is such a fucking cool name, man.
You
It's
have
and
moments
I'll,
like
I'll I'll
that.
give I'll give that credit to Orphan of Kaz too, because once
Oh
you
yes,
actually realize
sir.
the story implication of that, and you're like Kaz,
Yeah. And the funny thing
ooh,
is that like, I, honestly, maybe even like Dark Souls 2 is a little bit of, is a little guilty of this as well. But like clearly they did not know how to do that in Demon Souls, partly because like you had things like the Leechmonger or Dirty Colossus or the Man Eaters or the Old Monk, right? Like boring fucking names,
Yeah,
but then
it's
like
it's like
obviously
very old
as
school like D&D names.
right, right. But then obviously the penetrator, right? But like obviously once they kind of like progressed, like it just got better and better and better.
Yeah.
So yeah.
that's
No,
all built on the
absolutely.
lore too, man. That's all built on the lore, and
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
it's so interesting because you had to like figure you had to think that they have like a absolute bedrock of lore and mythologies to even go off this stuff, and whether it's based on real world stuff or the case may be, it's so intricate and it's really interesting
Yeah.
to the point where I mean I never really realized like how in depth like some of these things can be, especially for people that are creating this stuff. And until I learned that Final Fantasy 14 actually has a lore master that actually tunes everything, and that's kind of where they base off like some of their dungeons or their characters off of. And it's actually really cool that from Soft
From
actually
Swap.
does from Soft that does this with like every game, and
Yeah.
Elden Ring is a standout because of the fact that it's like a different kind of mythology with like with what we talked about yesterday. Like has some Irish in there, there's some Welsh.
Yeah,
Um,
it's like based like, and I think, and I saw a playthrough by a Jacksepticeye, and he goes into detail about certain name being of Irish descent, and some being Welsh descent, and him being Irish. I'm like, okay, I think you're like an authority. I can trust a little bit, you know?
yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, but yeah, so I did Bloodborne, and
Very
I got
nice.
farther in Elden Ring, obviously, because we're streaming yesterday. And I actually fought Radon, and I was telling Walt, man, like that's one of the best cinematic boss fights.
Ever.
Well, yeah, yeah. Honestly, for FromSoft, it's absolutely like a winner. I think that's a boss fight I'm gonna remember along Lady Maria, um, along the Cleric Beast, along Pontus Sylvan, I think his name is.
Yeah, but and to that point also, speaking
Yeah.
of bosses, Soul, him and I fought a boss of this, together. And we're on top of the Living Failures. Fuck Living Failures, a whack boss. But we fought with Ludwig, and and I think that Ludwig is a good example of the naming of the boss being just so exceptional because you have
Yeah.
Ludwig the Accursed, and you just have this beast of a man that merged with his horse and is just an abomination. But then halfway through the boss fight, he changes from Ludwig the Accursed to Ludwig the Holy Blade because now he's like a hunter and he's trying to kill you because he thinks you're a beast. And this the way that their naming works, attached to their lore, is just so fascinating. But then you have moments where it's so simple, like Fire Giant. It's just Fire Giant. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
nothing more, nothing less. But it gets the job done, and that's the thing. Like, you don't need. Sometimes that's all you need. You just need a big ass fire giant with a middle with three eyes, a mouth in its belly, and bullshit moves. You know what I mean? Sometimes that's all you need.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, continue,
That's
Andrew.
all you need.
But yeah, no, that's it for me, man. That's it for me. Good week of gaming. So I'm looking
Good
forward to
stuff.
just diving more into Elden Ring. So,
Good stuff.
Nice. Um, yeah, for me, I would also say it was a good week of gaming. So continue to chip away at Forbidden West. Uh, didn't make too much like, or actually, I didn't make any progress in the main story. I was really just like doing side missions, and kind of doing more like checkboxy kind of things, like doing like the signal towers, the rebel bases, things like that. Still having a blast with the game. I'm really loving it. I'm getting absolutely lost in the photo mode as well, which is awesome. So yeah, really enjoying Forbidden West. I finished Batman Arkham City. Finally
Oh,
Oh,
knocked that
sweet.
one. Yeah,
fought,
finally
fought, fought,
knocked that one out.
finally fought
Um,
Clayface, huh?
yeah, so it's funny because so obviously I'm assuming you guys both finished that game, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so when the big reveal happens that oh that wasn't Joker, it was Clayface before,
Mm-hmm.
because like they don't immediately show you that it's Clayface, right? Like
Hmm.
Talia kills that Joker, and then the real Joker is on this balcony and he shoots Talia, and the explanation that Joker gives. He's like, "Oh, you always have to keep up appearances," or something like that. And I was just like, I wasn't mad, but I was calling bullshit. Like I was kind of like upset that of like his explanation for it because I was like, okay, how the fuck did he get? How did he manage a Joker that looked exactly like him, that sounded exactly like him, right? And they didn't
Mm.
explain it right away, so I was like calling bullshit. Like I was kind of mad at that because obviously they killed Talia, and I was just like, what's the like how is this possible?
They keep killing her,
And then
man.
they revealed that it was Clayface. I was like, okay, there we go. That's how this makes sense. Gotcha. So yeah, I really like that reveal because it immediately answered my biggest question in that moment. So I thought that was pretty cool. I actually really enjoyed the boss fight as well. I thought the boss fight was
Mm.
actually pretty cool. And the fucking katana or the sword that you use is again it's like it's button mashy as hell, obviously, but like I almost kind of forgive it just because of how cool the sword was in that fight. Um, so yeah, really solid game. Really loved playing as Catwoman. Batman was awesome. Um, I guess I'll just say that oh, I helped I liked the little I didn't do too much of the side content, but I did like helping Mr. Freeze with his wife. I thought that was a pretty cool like it didn't take long at all, but I thought it was a pretty cool little side quest.
Mm.
Um, my one thing I will say in regards to Talia is, and Macho, I've talked about this before, specifically with Elise from Assassin's Creed Unity. It's
Yeah.
it's such a trope, and I hate it every single time that it's used. But killing off the love interest in that manner, um, I just despise it. It's one of my like least favorite tropes, specifically because I feel like it's almost more egregious in this game because like I barely got to know Talia. So I'm sure people who are like fans of the comics and who like know her inside and out were like emotional when that happened, but I'm just like, man, like I didn't get really much time to get to know her to feel anything when that happened, right? So it's
Mm.
like the trope specifically is killing off a character before I get to know them and expecting me to feel anything for them when they die, right? It's the same thing with Elise. Like I feel like I didn't really get to know her, very much at all, and then they just offer. Also, the same thing with what's Ubisoft is doubly guilty of this.
Oh
I
man.
don't know if you guys remember Clara from the original Watch Dogs. They they
Yeah.
they just like she was a really cool character that they just off her for no fucking reason at the end of the game. Um,
You
yeah,
must
and
lose a beloved to continue on the path of righteousness. I feel like every time they do that BS, it's they've done it
ju-
so
ju-
much, and they make because they always kill off such a great character, and that's the thing. Like I feel like they have so much potential, these characters, and they
yeah,
just die. You
and
know?
killing them off before they get like their chance to really like do anything or to shine or something like that. I don't know.
Hmm.
It's just a
I
trope that
agree.
I really hate in all media, and I felt like this game was specifically guilty of that with Talia. Like I just felt like they did her dirty, and like
Yeah.
if the intention was to make me feel anything in that moment, then like it just completely like fell flat on its face because like
You felt anger.
again I didn't feel anything. I
You felt
really didn't
that.
feel anything. I wanted like again, obviously you guys played it, but like they were banking on the fact that like oh like Talia and Batman love each other. They were in this relationship and blah blah blah, and it's like we really only get to like hear them say it rather than them get to show. It's the classic show don't tell kind of thing, right?
Hmm.
And like I don't know, I wish we got to see more of that happening. Also Batman doesn't seem like too messed up about it either. The thing that really fucked me up was the final cutscene of Batman holding Joker's like limp and dead body out of the theater and placing it on the cop car. I'm like, okay, like did he not do that? Why wouldn't he do that to the love of his life, Talia? Like, did he just leave Talia's body
Because
inside of there?
Joker's the love of his life.
Right?
Didn't you know that?
I guess so. Yeah, Joker's really the true love of his life then.
That's why he never kills him.
And he leaves too. He doesn't go back in the theater. He just left Talia's dead body. So that part really fucked me up too. But yeah, that part kind of soured the ending for me, I guess. But aside from that, City is definitely a cool game.
You play Night?
I kind of I'm going to, but I messed up, guys. I messed up.
Oh
There
no.
was I think March 31st was like this deal for Arkham Knight specifically. I was like, "Hey, you can get the definitive version of Arkham Knight for $7." And I told you guys I was going to do it, and I never did it. So
Wow.
now it's back to like $50 or something like that.
Oh,
Yeah.
damn.
Yeah, so I don't know when I'm gonna. It's the version that comes with like all of the DLC too and the costumes and
Ooh, Harley
stuff like
Quinn and
that.
everything. Yeah, nice.
Yeah, so I don't know when I'm gonna do it, but eventually I'll get to Arkham Knight. But yeah, I liked City a lot. I don't know. I have to sit on it, but I don't know if I like it more than Asylum or if I like Asylum more.
Hmm.
But they're both fantastic games for sure.
I would say get more into the side content of City before you jump into Arkham
Nice.
Knights.
Yeah.
Because I know you say you didn't really jump too much into that realm, but there's so many. I don't know if it's gonna call back to like what you said before, of like you have to know a little bit about the history of comics to like understand certain relationships and stuff like that. But I feel like with
I don't think
Arkham
so.
City, uh, there's not really like a Talia situation. Like you're gonna get like a lot of really cool Easter eggs and fun nods to Batman's villains that aren't present like as like physically, but they
Hmm.
are there spiritually, which is really cool. And a lot of that is in the side content, especially with like there's like random phone calls that you actually hear as you're exploring throughout
Yeah.
Arkham City and stuff like that, and then you find out that mystery, and then the little Easter eggs are just plopped everywhere. Like a lot of that stuff is really in the side content, but the Mister Freeze one, obviously that's a standout. But there's a couple others that are actually really really cool.
Yeah. I started doing the I don't know if I'll go back to it, but like I did one of, or at least I started the Robin kind of like side missions with Harley,
Hmm.
Oh
and
yeah, yeah,
I think that takes place after the game. So that's like
yes.
the one reason that like I'm kind of interested in doing that is yeah, kind of seeing because they were talking about like Oracle and Robin were talking about like Batman. I think he's gone missing or something like that. Um, so yeah, I am curious to see like what happens to him like immediately after the events of like losing Talia and Joker, what that kind of does to him.
Especially Joker,
Um,
man. That loss.
yeah, yeah.
God damn it.
So
Oh.
yeah, Arkham City was awesome. Um, the major game that I've been playing this week
Mhm.
is a little game called Divinity Original Sin 2.
Man, you
Mm.
always surprise us with these like just curveballs because it's always a game that I'm not expecting. It's,
Yeah, I
but it's
I
not surprising.
funnily enough, this game has kind of like always been on my radar, but like
Hmm.
I just haven't like pressed the trigger. But like weirdly, I got into one of those moods yesterday.
Mm.
Was it yesterday or Thursday, I think, where like I just like I started reminiscing on my time with Mass Effect.
Oh man.
Um, and also this week I went back to finish off one quest line in Cyberpunk.
Hmm.
Um, with Claire Russell, that character.
Nice.
Um, but because of Cyberpunk and thinking about Mass Effect, I was like, man, I really want to play an RPG. Um, and like a something that will allow me to get deep into like creating a character and stuff like that.
Mm.
So I was searching, and Divinity obviously came up, and yeah, it's a classic CRPG. So kind of in the same sense of like Disco Elysium, where what I loved about that game was just like every decision that you make has some sort of consequence to it, right? And you
Mm-hmm.
could really get into the weeds of like how you're building your character and the decisions that they make, who they talk to, how do they talk to people, right? Like I picked like a jester like background as well as like a scholarly background, so like my character's a smart ass with her dialogue options, but she's also really smart at the same time. So I like
Mm-hmm.
having that balance, and I like that there's like, depending on like what you choose in that aspect, that your character speaks to people differently. I think that's a really, really cool touch.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so it's like I said, a classic CRPG. I'm enjoying the story. The combat, I think, is the main thing I'll talk about for this podcast. Because I am really having difficulty with the combat. Um,
Really?
yeah, because I think honestly, this is probably the first time that I played a game of this kind. So
Mm.
I at least for like the few introductory hours, I have no idea what I was doing.
Yeah.
Because there's so much to learn, right? Like I've never played a game that you have a hot bar, right? Like I don't have a PC, so yeah, the
Oh, what
hot
a noob, man! Come on,
yeah.
2014. We'll get you through the ringer. Come on now. I got you.
Yeah, so like even that within itself was like a novelty, right?
Yeah.
Hmm.
And then like controlling four party members at the same time while not being like something new to me, it's still like it's much more than something like Persona or like a normal turn-based sort of RPG.
Mm.
Because in this game you actually have to it's so methodical in the way of, like, you actually have to think about like where you're placing certain characters. You have
It's D
action
and D,
points, right? It's literally D&D. Yep.
and I
Yeah, you
love
have
it.
you have like a set number of action points that you have to spend per round,
Hmm.
right? Each special ability that you use
There's
will cost
ailments.
action points, right?
There,
There's
there's like poison
ailments.
around the floor. Maybe. Maybe there's
Exactly.
fire.
You could get really creative with I had like oil flasks. So like, okay, what if
Nice.
you spend an action point throwing an oil flask, and then you use another character to throw a grenade on it to burn, your
You can
enemies or stuff
actually
like
hurt
that.
your friends if you accidentally like
Exactly.
if there's like
You can't be
poison and you use a fireball, boom, it explodes and you're mad, you're fucked.
I've learned that the hard way a couple
Yeah,
times, because
yeah.
I have I don't know exactly what her class is, but I have like, like a kind of like sorcerer in
Hmm.
my party, and I've definitely used. She has like this hailstorm ability, and it's definitely hit my main character a couple times. Um, I've definitely shocked my own party members,
Yeah,
with some abilities as well. So
yeah,
like,
yeah.
yeah, it definitely feels like chess or
Hmm.
in the methodical sense of like knowing like where to place all your characters, knowing who to attack, when to attack. There's certain times where like maybe you have to be okay with not using all your action points in a certain round, stuff like that. Um, and so like I don't know if I'm ashamed to admit this, but like there was one specific fight last night that probably took me 2 hours, maybe even more, to get through. Because
Hmm.
it was like, I want to say like 4 on like 5. One of them was like a really heavy armored dude, and he kept summoning like this hound that was just like really, really fucking pesky. But then you had him, you had his hound, you had like two archers, and then a regular sword and shield guy. And it was just like really, I'm like a level 3, so this is like one of like the first like major fights I've had in this game yet, and it was just really, really fucking brutal to get through.
Is it
I
in the
eventually
base? Is it in the prison place?
Yes, yeah, in the
Okay.
underground. It is actually the prison. Yeah, yeah,
So is it the guy that has like cages where there's like monsters in them?
yeah. I don't know about monsters, but like he's literally called like the Hound Master,
The
and
Houndmaster? Okay.
he is like in like the prison area in that first like starting island.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, so I eventually did uh beat him, but like it literally killed 3 out of my 4 party members.
Damn.
Like that's how brutal the fight was, and so
Is it
like
permadeath or?
I think there is.
There is permadeath, but I think you can. There's ways around it. So here's the thing: when a character dies, their spirit stays there. You have to find the necessary components to revive them.
Exactly, yeah. So, and
Mm.
I was losing my mind last night because, obviously, and my main character was one of the people who died, so I was stressing the fuck out last night.
Yeah.
So I ran, like I left the prison and I had to search for resurrection scrolls to revive all of them
Mm-hmm.
after the fight. The thing was, I didn't have like I barely like. There's multiple ways that you could obtain them, but I used all of them during the fight because we died like multiple times during this fight. So I used the ones that I already had on me during that fight. So I had to, you know, go out and back to the island and find some other ways to find some. Apparently you can pickpocket
Yep.
some, yeah, like the party members that you haven't used that are just like around the island, and you can pickpocket them, and they have one each.
Or
The
even
problem
merchants.
was the problem was the character that was alive, he didn't have any points in thievery, so I couldn't pickpocket with him. So that was an option that was taken off the board completely, so I couldn't do that. Luckily, there was a blacksmith who had four, but each of them was about like 300 gold pieces a pop. I
Oh
had like
wow.
maybe I had enough for one, so we started there, and obviously I spent like the rest of the night just like, you know, try thinking of ways of like, you know, selling off a bunch of shit, um, you know, just searching for gold around the island and stuff like that. Eventually, I did get all four of them revived, but yeah, it was stressful because another thing that I didn't know was that their spirits or whatever, they kind of like, if you teleport to certain areas, their spirits will follow you where you teleport.
Mm-hmm.
So like when I came back to the prison to revive them the first time, their spirits were gone. So I was like, what the fuck? I was on Google looking up like, is permadeath a thing? Is there a certain time limit to how to like when you can revive your teammates? Um, and that's, you know, eventually I learned that their spirits kind of follow you where you teleport. But yeah, it was really stressful. The thing that I'm kind of ashamed of was that fight was like, sure, it felt good to finally get through, but I was literally like banging my head against the wall for like 2 hours trying to get through that. And like, yeah, maybe that's, you know, maybe I think a lot of people are looking for that kind of like that euphoria
Like that challenge,
of
yeah.
the challenge, the struggle, and then the eventual triumph. But for me, I'm not. It's not the turn-based combat is not like, you know, Persona where it's flashy and fun and stylish and loud and stuff
No.
like that, right?
It's gritty as
Um,
fuck.
yeah, and so like with this game, I'm purely in it. Like I had to kind of tell myself I'm purely in it for the story, the characters, the role-playing elements. So I made the decision to bump down the difficulty down to like, I think like story mode or something like that. Because I just don't want to be in combat scenarios for that long. Like I just don't. That's not
Man,
why I'm playing this
what a
game.
noob. What?
Hey
You're in
man,
story mode? No, I'm just kidding, dude.
hey man.
You play your games how you want and how you
Yeah,
enjoy
man.
them. Especially since it's like your first foray into these kind
Yeah,
of games. It's you absolutely need like a crash course, and that's just keep on playing, and then
They're
you're not gonna get
difficult.
anywhere if you just keep replaying the same thing over and over and over and over again. It's just not how you learn. You
No,
learn by
yeah.
progressing, really.
and like I'll admit that like with that specific fight against the Hound Master and the archers and shit, like first of all, it's bullshit that they can shoot through walls. That completely that completely made me so
Yeah.
fucking mad. But the thing I will say is that like, yes, even though I did die multiple times and I was banging my head against the wall trying to figure out just how to play this game in the first place, that specific battle, it did force me to get creative in like just how to approach that fight specifically, and I'm guessing future fights as well, because you know, the very first couple times that I tried that fight, I was meeting them on their own terms. Like I would get everyone to like I guess I was being the aggressor and I pushed everyone to where they all were, And eventually, as I was learning through trial and error, I learned, okay, let's kind of like back up a little bit and bring everyone inside this like little ass room. Until I honestly brought the fight into like this little like prison cell. So like I made literally all of the people that I was fighting use action points to run all the way and follow me into this room. So things like that, like I do like that it forced me to get creative in sort of battles and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Um,
that kind of reminds me of Triangle Strategy actually, or where yeah, there's some points where in some maps where like I wanted to absolutely just rush up on the enemy and do what I can to take
yeah.
them all out because that's how you win.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you can't do that.
There's a lot of maps, especially near the end game portion, where you just cannot do that. You have to let them come to you and then set up traps and then
And
just take
buffs and
certain party members
debuffs.
of other ones. Yeah, for sure. So it's
Yeah.
interesting. You're kind of getting those growing pains now, seeing that with this one, because from what I've heard, Divinity Original Sin 2 is the best of the best
It's
for
amazing.
these kinds of games. So
It's incredible. I haven't been in myself. I played it a long time ago, and I got
yeah, I have it on
there's
Switch. I just haven't tried it out yet.
dude. There's the prison area, Soul, and I made it maybe to the forest area that's right outside, and I was in a fight where every enemy was doing poison damage, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna take my time. I'm gonna come back later. I'm not gonna play this for a while. I am mad. I am very mad because it got ridiculous to the point where I would walk over traps that I didn't see. And they were like, "Oh, you didn't have this
Yeah.
ability that didn't let you see the trap." And I'm like, "Oh, well, fuck you."
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just not at this point in time. I'm just not interested in the headache, to be honest.
Yeah, I
Um,
feel you.
so yeah, I turned it down to story mode, and we'll see. Because I really it's surprising how much I've been on Reddit with this game specifically already.
Hmm.
Just reading about people's experiences and questions that they have and things like that. But the one thing I've been kind of seeing is that story mode feels too easy, but then classic mode feels too hard. So I'm
Yeah.
curious to see, like, as I progress, if I'm gonna run into the same thing. We'll see. But yeah, so far, other than the trouble that I've been having with the combat and learning the combat, it's been pretty fun, man. I haven't played a game like this before, so I'm really excited to get deeper into it. And it's funny because this combat it's funny because like I had the same trouble with Dragon Age Inquisition. It's not obviously like this hardcore, but like I hated the combat in Dragon Age because it actually kind of does feel similar to this in like the kind of technical sense. Um, so we'll see how long it lasts, I guess. But yeah, so that's Divinity Original Sin 2. I'm enjoying it. Um, and then I guess the last thing I will touch on is guys, I finally got
We
Waifu
know,
Impact.
we know,
it.
we know.
um so
Hmm.
but I don't have much to say anything on it because all I did was I made my character and I got out, and that's it.
Oh, Maria.
Hmm.
Uh,
It's
so
about
yeah,
time.
yeah, but I'm not because I still have Forbidden West to get through, and Divinity as well, adding that to the catalog. So Elden Ring, I literally just wanted to make my character walk around a little bit, and that was it. I'm putting it on the shelf until I finish Forbidden West at the very least. But yeah,
Yeah, I
Elden
hear
Ring
you.
Yeah.
is in my possession.
You got a couple of games in coming up, man. You got Sifu coming up for you. You haven't played that, and then you got a couple others.
You
So
haven't
you
played
got this.
Resident Evil 8 or Resident Evil 7.
You got a backlog before we get the best summer in gaming.
Who the hell is saying that? Who's saying the best summer gaming?
Well, Andrew.
Oh man, that's crazy. But yeah,
well,
that's it for me, man. Walt, finish things off for us.
well, brothers, I have been playing a couple things. So I've been playing. Yesterday I played Elden Ring with Macho. We teamed up for a boss fight, and I did some grinding aside, and I'm doing different builds, so I'm doing that. I played a little bit of Bloodborne. I am having trouble with my Lady Maria, mainly because I haven't fought her in a while, and I'm in New Game Plus 3, so my Lady Maria is a bit more aggro and more beefy than usual. So I was doing that, put it down for a bit, and a game that I actually got this week, and I am 2 hours in, is a game by the name of Parasite Eve on the PS
Oh
Vita.
shit!
And let me tell you,
Oh
y'all,
shit!
this is one of those moments where I said, man, I don't know what like got into me. Like I swear, I was like,
I got
I was,
into you. Pause.
I was, hey, yo, yo,
What I was
come
saying got into you.
on, we family channel, hey. This man thinks he's a parasite. So it's interesting. I was uploading episodes to Spotify, and out of nowhere, I'm like, let me take a look at a like a little clip of gameplay from Parasite Eve, and I saw the gameplay, and instantly the urge hit me. I need to play this. I need to play this. I need to play this. I looked for the infamous scene that Macho said of the rat, and I was like, I'm sold. I love body horror. Like it's one of the reasons I love Junji Ito. Like I just love that kind of horror, that kind of just macabre nature of things. And I was like, you know what? Let's. Well, how much is it? $6? $6? Let's go. Went for my Vita, downloaded it, and the rest is history, man. Let me tell you. As soon as I boot it up, I'm like, this is fine. I've played Persona on the Vita. It looks better than Persona. I mean, I think it's Persona is older than Parasite Eve.
I think so.
The first one.
Yeah, because Parasite Eve is 1997. So
Yeah, I think Persona is like 96, 95. I downloaded it, played it. Let me tell you, brother, it's simple. Like in the beginning, it doesn't overwhelm you with the scientifics. It doesn't go hard on the mitochondria and everything. At first, I'm not gonna lie, I thought they were gonna pull the wait, mitochondria? What is that? What? And they were gonna research. Oh, mitochondria is like a parasite. I thought they were gonna like switch what the mitochondria is, but no, they kept it what it is. The powerhouse of the cell. Okay, good. There's a novel. So there's a novel that takes place before the game, but actually doesn't take place in the same area. But there's like hints to that novel in the video game, I think. The
yeah,
novel
it's based off a novel.
Yeah, so the novel, but the game takes place after the novel. So the there's like already history in this world with the parasites and whatever. And dude, again, what Macho to echo what Macho said, the villain, the philosophy, what it means to be a human, what it means to, there's a lot of identity like crisis with the protagonist, and like her struggling with who she is and what she wants, and I love that. I love it when there's an internal struggle. That's why I love Tokyo Ghoul. That's why I love Berserk. Guts and Kaneki are great. Literally in Tokyo Ghoul, Kaneki is like, oh, I guess I'm a different person. It's amazing. This game, I'm 2 hours in. I just finished episode 2, or day 2. I fought the worms, or the worms, and then after the worms, I fought Eve on the carriage.
Yeah, that was a cool part. Yeah.
Dude, let me tell you something. This is a very old game, but the cutscenes, they're oddly charming, and there's a charm to them that is, they hold up. I think they will age well. They age well. And the transformation scenes with the different monsters and the different situations, there's a scene where like a whole crowd turns into this blob monster and gets absorbed into it's disgusting.
It's horrifying. It's horrifying and disgusting, yeah.
It is absolutely. If they remake this game, they have to put like M++, because it's gonna be disgusting and horrible. There's things in this game that in a remake setting, oh my god, they would be insane.
That would be super cool, man.
Dude.
That's why I really want to remake. I think it'd be so awesome, dude.
And I'm committed already. I'm like, you know what? I'm always like this with every game. I'm playing Parasite Eve. Once I finish it, I'm almost certain I'm gonna play 2, but I don't care about reviews. I just want to know where Aya's story goes, and I want to know more about this world. So I'm probably gonna pick up 2. 3 is where I draw the line, probably with the third birthday, because I think that with this game, it adopts it does what Resident Evil 4 did, and it does what Dead Space 3 did. It goes more over the shoulder, action-oriented combat, and
Yeah, I don't hear a lot of great things about Parasite Eve 2, so that's why I'm kind of straying away from it because I really like that core gameplay of one,
oh, dude,
and
it's
they
amazing.
kind of, from what I hear, they kind of lose that in the second one.
Here's the thing, like for the first one, I'm all about the gameplay mechanics and the story. For the second one, I just want to know about the story and whatnot. It's if it's worth
Yeah,
it. It's by the end, I'm like left with more questions. I'm like, oh, I want to like know more about what happens. But yeah, man, I've been playing Parasite Eve. I'm pleasantly surprised. I really enjoyed the game. Uh,
sweet. I'd love to
yeah,
hear it.
yeah, man. Aside from that, oh, I've been playing a little bit of the Vampire Masquerade Blood Hunt Battle Royale, uh, which is
How's
free on
that?
PS5. Uh, it has some really like great mechanics that I think like they have a great foundation for a battle royale. I still think it's like in the early stages where I don't have a concrete opinion on, but I'm not I don't see myself playing this for years. You know, it's not. I think Fortnite set a standard with the battle royale where it's constantly evolving. Like every few months, there's something different. There's something new going on. I still need to give Bloodhunt a few more some time before I know if it'll stick or not. But it's always nighttime. Of course, you're a vampire. There's different types of vampire classes that you can choose from, each with their own abilities. You have 2 abilities and then a passive. Um, the one I'm using is called the Prowler. Is the one I'm using a lot. You can switch between them for different matches, but you can only choose one per match. I'm using the Prowler, which essentially is more of a scout. So one ability is move, turn invisible, and you become like a mist, like a little puff of cloud, and you move fast to another area. But the people can see you, but it's more so of like turn invisible and run away, or reposition yourself around the enemy. And then the other ability is you throw a bat to a surface or the floor or whatever, and basically it calls other bats. In that area, you can detect enemies. So it's like a scouting bat, um, which is pretty cool. There's cool abilities. There's one that lets you jump really high and do like a ground pound. There's one that does a shockwave. There's a vampire that's called the Muse, and she heals you, and she doesn't run. So that's interesting. Each one has like different ways of being played. The Prowler can sprint. I don't know if everyone can sprint, but the Muse can't sprint. So you kind of have to get used to each class's gameplay. Uh, I find it interesting enough where I see myself playing it for the next couple of weeks, but I don't see myself sticking around for the long run. I don't think so. They just released their Game Pass or Battle Pass, whatever, yesterday or the day before, and they already have costumes and it's really stylistic. The game looks great. That's one thing. The game looks
Cool.
beautiful. Like
Yeah.
the environment, the vampire designs. Every vampire is beautiful, except the ones that look like very decrepit. But vampires they just historically they've always been like royalty, whatever. So they have very like very snobby appearances and very like elegant appearances. I really enjoy it. There's civilians around the map that you can consume the blood from to gain certain abilities or gain health. Um, you have 2 lives. You die once, and then after the second one, you're done. So you have 2 opportunities each time, or 1 opportunity each time. So it keeps the because there's like 46 players on the map, so it keeps the battle going a bit more. Um, and how you survive, it's not through the abilities. There's weapons. So there's AKs, there's pistols, there's shotguns, there's crossbows, there's a sniper, there's a light machine gun, and there's tiers. There's green, blue, and purple. Um, obviously, and golden. Golden is the highest tier, of course, we know that. Um, and you basically are fighting each other. And you have melee weapons, you have katanas, you have spiked bats that you can hit each other with. Uh,
Wow,
yeah, it's
that's a lot.
yeah. There's quite a bit, like a bit of ways to play around. You can climb up buildings, so everyone can of course you're a vampire. You can climb up buildings and fight atop of buildings or on the streets. Um, there's a
That's one
lot
of the
of
things that actually made me more attracted to the game because of the fact that you have that verticality aspect to it.
Absolutely, and you can really play around and mess around with people because it's not as normal as like with Fortnite where you there's a first floor, second floor, maybe there's a mountain, there's a cave, whatever. But here it's like if you're getting shot at, you can very much go around the corner, and you either keep running straight, go back towards the other side of the street, or go up the building. So the enemy, you can try to juke the enemy. Um, it's really fun like that. You can get creative like that. Use your abilities to play around with your enemy's mind. Uh, it's really cool. It's really cool. I'm enjoying it. I would tell y'all to. It's free. Give it a shot. You don't like it, just delete it. But yeah, definitely worth a shot. But yeah, this week it's been mainly Parasite Eve, a little bit of Blood Hunt, and I sprinkled just a teensy bit of what's it called? Goddamn, Tales of Arise. Tales of Arise. I played a little bit of Tales of Arise on Monday, I think it was. Um, like halfway through that. Yeah. But yeah, just chipping away at different games. But right now, my focus is um, Parasite Eve and jumping in on a Blood Hunt here and there, and we'll see what's the next big one. Because honestly, I was in a bit of a lull, but I don't know what was. I saw that gameplay of Parasite Eve, and suddenly I'm in love with video games again.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We need more love
Nice.
from Square. We need less $12,000 statues and more remakes
Big facts.
from classics.
Um, nice man. That's funny that Macho got into you.
Yeah, man.
Out of that entire conversation, that's
You
what we took from.
you
Yeah,
think
man.
you'd think that I'd be used to it, you know?
All right, man. All
But
right,
by the
man.
way, so you wanted to touch on a little bit on Campaign 3?
I mean, we could say that for another podcast. We've kind of spent a lot of time
Yeah, for
on,
sure, for sure.
yeah, for sure. Um, but yeah, that's awesome. You know what? Maybe maybe Macho got into me a little bit too, man. Because I kind of
Oh,
I wanna check out.
Sheesh.
I'm not gonna play the game, but I do kind of want to check out that rat cutscene that you guys are talking
Yes,
about.
oh, it gets
sir.
even better. It gets even better. There's a specific scene in day 5 that Walt's gonna experience and watch, and I'm excited to see what his take is on it because every time I'm listening or not listening, I'm watching a cutscene, and my fiance's right next to me. She's always saying that sounds gross.
It
So
is a very gross game.
yeah, so it's I'm really interested to see what you guys say because it's like I said, I'm constantly thinking of man, what if they just remake this because it'll be so disgusting, but it'll be so cool because it'll be just be make everyone squirm and like it'll be awesome, man. Like they need to remake Parasite Eve. It's too cool for not to
Man,
do it.
I was gonna say it until I remembered that this is Square Enix and not Capcom. But I was gonna say, man, can you imagine the RE engine with this? But yeah,
Oh man, can
it's
you imagine the RE engine with this? That'd be insane. Oh man, Square, sell it to Capcom or something. Now I want to see that.
If only, if
If
only.
if
only,
only.
man. Imagine. But yeah.
But yeah, man, let's jump into the podcast proper and knock out some of these topics. Um, Walt, really quickly, are you? Can you, Macho? Are you hearing like a little bit of cracking in his audio, or is it
No,
not?
I'm not, but I'll listen back to the podcast and see.
Yeah, okay. Um, but yeah, all right. So let's jump into some of these topics. You know what? Let's talk about Final Fantasy 16. Um, so I think Macho could probably offer a little bit more insight into this, but my understanding is that Yoshi P recently did an interview, correct? And
Yeah.
he talked
Hmm.
about the progress of the game.
Yes. So, by the way, Walt's sound is good. He's all good to go.
Cool. All right.
But yeah, so the interview was in collaboration with Uniqlo, which is the clothing store that I'm sure you guys may have heard of.
Yeah, when I was in that store actually saved me. When I was in London a few years back, my they lost my luggage, and so like I had to go there for like I didn't have any clothes except for like what I was wearing for like 2 or 3 days, I think. Um, so yeah, that was like where I went to like pick up some like clothes for like until I got my luggage back.
Hey
So
man,
that's
shout
Wow,
that's
that's
fun.
out,
That's
actually a
funny.
pretty good story.
Yeah, that's funny that you bring that up.
shout out to Uniqlo.
Yeah.
Yeah, their clothes are amazing. But it's because of the 35th anniversary for Final Fantasy, the series in general. I tweeted about this multiple times because I'm really excited for the shirts that are coming out. So they actually did an interview with Yoshi P, who's obviously the director of, not director, but the producer of Final Fantasy 16 and the
Oh, I
director and
didn't
producer
know
of
that.
14.
How
Yeah,
how is he doing that? How is he doing both 14 and 16?
because he's a god. That's
He
why.
has like five brains.
Well, yeah, because
Damn.
he's well, like 14, as I said, is like his mastermind project. That like that's his baby.
Yeah,
16 is more or less just a producer on because his studio is working on it.
Okay.
So, but
yeah,
it's a different director and all that
Uh,
jazz. So,
yeah.
Gotcha,
I don't know
gotcha.
if you knew this, but Yoshi P is for pain, so he has the six paths of pain. So each
Oh,
Yoshi
gotcha.
P, takes care of one thing.
Gotcha.
yeah. So the guy's he's a workaholic, but he loves what he does. But in any case, he did a interview Niklo, and it makes sense for him to do an interview because one of the shirts that's actually in this celebration is for Final Fantasy 16. So it's like one of the first time we're actually seeing like official merchandise of the game. So
Yeah.
naturally they asked him about the game, and one of his quotes has been floating around on the interwebs has been that 16 is in its final stages of development, which we have heard from him before, that the next time we're going to hear about 16 is when basically we're ready to pre-order it. That's the kind of was his motto, that the next time you're going to hear about 16 was when you're actually going to look forward to playing it very soon, and you can actually buy it, and we actually do a full-on marketing thing. So in my head, with him saying that, and with him also saying that the next announcement for 16 will be in spring of 2022, which we are in, we only got maybe like a couple more months until the season is over and he breaks his promise. But he's not one to break his promises. He's a very humble developer, very much to his true to his fans, and he absolutely is one that puts like his morals and his values above company values, which obviously like he has to consider that stuff. But he's absolutely like a developer for the fans, if you guys know what I mean, So um, with that said, with the 16 being in the final stages of development, I really think that this game is going to release in 2022, after Forspoken. Either a November or December release. I'm banking on it, and obviously it can get pushed to 2023 because that happens. But again, following Yoshi P's track, and sort of the new kind of track that Square Enix wants to set for its games, where they don't want people waiting forever to play them, and just dropping trailers every now and then, every couple of years. Rather just announce it and then go on a full-on media blackout and then talk more about it when it's ready. We saw that with Guardians of the Galaxy. Final Fantasy VII Remake was sort of like that after it gets a redevelopment, when it got switched over to a different studio, or rather Square Enix in-house. And I'm trying to think of anything else that came out that was like recent. 14, Final Fantasy 14 and Walker, really, where they had like a big media blowout in the middle of the year in 2021, right? Last year?
Hmm.
Yeah, in 2021, and then it released at the end of the year. It was supposed to release in November, and it got released in December because of the delay. But regardless, yeah, I really think 16 is gonna be releasing at the end of this year, and I couldn't be more excited, man. Um, I'm so ready to see what that next trailer is gonna look like. 'Cause I've just been replaying the first one, kind of just getting hyped and jazzed with the music and sort of what the whole tone is setting. We're going back to a full fantasy setting, which is actually really cool. So yeah, it's gonna be exciting stuff, man.
It is such a badass trailer, man. Like just the ending bit, like it get even me not being like the biggest like Final Fantasy like fan at all. Just the ending bit, like the reveal itself of it being 16 is still so fucking cool to me.
Yeah. That's the thing about the last couple trailers too. Even with 15, where it had like the versus 13, it completely breaks like glass and then it's smashed into like the 15 logo. That
Yeah.
still gives me chills. But this one, with the actual Final Fantasy theme, the just a full-on orchestra going on. But it's really dark and kind of like overbearing. Like, oh man, it gives me chills. It gives me chills. So I'm excited to see what they do, man. It's gonna be cool stuff. Regardless, it's gonna be well produced, and they actually said in the interview too that it's a full fleshed out story. He's hoping that people that have sort of strayed away from Final Fantasy in past years, this one will kind of bring them back. So it feels like the Final Fantasy 9 to Final Fantasy 7 in a sense, where both games are amazing, but both have their different flavors and different tones that express what Final Fantasy is, and it's gonna make it really special. So I'm excited.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, even kind of like I haven't watched that trailer in a long time, but just even thinking back to the sword combat of like how he's kind of like almost similar to the Final Fantasy, kind of like how you're like warping, you know, how like in combat you can kind of like warp to different spots. And seeing how like there's some of that in 16 if I'm remembering correctly. Yeah, it just looked pretty cool, man. I'm definitely excited for that combat at the very least.
Yeah, for sure. Same here. Well, what's your thoughts on 16, and do you think it's gonna release this year? Thoughts on the trailer? What you want? What you don't want?
What I want? No one can give me what I want. No, so
Not even a lover or something like that, man.
oh man, not even Ronnie, not even Melina, no one. So the game
I don't know.
looks alright. It looks kind of mid. I don't know. Final Fantasy has always looked mid. No, I'm kidding. Listen, man, I'm excited as hell. A lot of people didn't like 15. I loved 15. I can't wait for more real-time combat, like in Remake as well. The setting I'm in love with. I always love the classic, like a fantasy setting. I don't dislike the more modern approach that a lot of the more recent titles, started to adopt, like Final Fantasy. I think it started with, I think 10 started that. What? What?
Aloy move.
I think 10 started that because 10 was pretty modern. I think it was like really technologically advanced.
Well, six.
Well, 6, yeah.
Do you mean technically, like as far as
no,
video
like
games,
it,
or
like it started feeling like somewhat like today. I feel like that started in 13 though, where it started just feeling like, oh, there's a sci-fi aspect to this. That's really more sci-fi than fantasy. You know what I mean?
I will say that maybe
I feel like 15 is the
6.
most that feels like that.
There's 6, which obviously kind of kicked off that steampunk sort of vibe to
Right.
everything, and then 7 was the one that was really like more technologically advanced. So that was more sci-fi than it was fantasy.
But it still had like, you had Rex and you had all these elements that felt otherworldly, whereas 15 is like, you're just with the boys in a car and we're gonna save your girl, Like it felt,
except go to goblins and giant deities, but yeah, I understand what you mean.
but it was like it felt like it was like to the side. You could very much play that game and only encounter Leviathan and Titan and like the main ones, and that's it. And you didn't have to do the side content. Where the dungeons is where like the more the more disgusting creatures of fantasy. Like I don't know, I like it when it's just fantasy. Like don't bring Magitech into it. I mean I don't dislike it, but just make it purely, sticks and stones. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like the most advanced thing you'll see, like it's like an airship or something.
Exactly. Which again, I don't mind it, but make that the only technological thing if it's gonna be fantasy, because I really like those settings. But I have faith, the same faith that you do, that it'll release later this year. At the very most, if it's showing, challenges and development and whatnot, then I'm all for a delay. Do that delay, boy. And push it to 2023, man. There's no rush for greatness. We can wait for greatness. And Remake took its time, and look at what it turned out to be. Just a mess, a horrible game. No, it's a fantastic game.
It's a masterpiece. Get it right. Watch your mouth.
It's a massive piece of shit. No, it's amazing. And I'm excited, man. For 16, I like the vibes. The protagonists. I think it's like three protagonists, right? It's like 3 of them.
I know. I think it's just one you're
Just one.
following majority of the time, but it's
There's like three
surrounding like his,
main,
it's
like,
surrounding like his royal like I guess I think the person that he takes care of or he guards something like that. Like he guards like a prince or something like that, and
and
something happens to him, and then eventually it spirals into this whole thing.
there's something that's a trope that I really like. It's the, I'm a bodyguard slash protector or guardian, and I need to retrieve the one that I have to guard. Like that kind of storyline, I really really enjoy. That's why Sekiro is so cool, because it literally is just that. You're there for your young master, and you need to do everything you can for your young master, and you will die by your code for him. I really like those storylines because they can go all sorts of just insanity. Because these people will literally do anything for their masters. I feel like Strangers of Paradise is that, right? Are you like a bodyguard or something? Is Jack like a bodyguard?
Not necessarily, no.
Isn't he like guarding someone? The girl that he listens on his iPod or something?
Nah. Literally all the trailers of him wanting to kill Chaos. That's literally like the
What
that's
is
literally
he?
we got from that game.
What's his role? Who is he?
Uh That's a good question.
Okay, yeah, that's how good that
Don't
game
really
is. So I'm looking forward. I'm looking forward to Final Fantasy 16. Hopefully, releasing this year.
I think, well, if I were to tread back on it, is I think it's like they're like the Warriors of Light or something like that. I think those are they play as the Warriors of Light in like the Final Fantasy scenario, but
Who
it's
gives
a
a
little
shit?
more complicated than that. So that's why I'm really confused to answer that question.
Who gives a shit?
Yeah,
But
true, true.
because Final Fantasy, Final Schmantasy, who even plays these games?
It's all right. Well, it's just clean your mouth with that Persona mouthwash to rid all your dirtiness from the vileness you're speaking about Final Fantasy.
Kingdom Hearts, more like Kingdom Shards. Am I right, y'all? No.
Yeah, still so more than Persona. So
Hey, man, you take that back. No, no, man. I'm legit. This is one of those games that when you really are anticipating a game and you're like nothing will sway you. I'm like that with FF16. I'm already like, I don't care. You can show me and it'll be a TTRPG, and I will buy it. Like I don't care. It can be anything. I just want a new Final Fantasy, like a new Final Fantasy.
yeah,
You know?
yeah, same. I'm really pumped for it. That and
Oh
for
yeah,
Spoken is gonna be interesting to see what they do at the end of this
yeah.
year.
Game of the year. But yeah, man.
So yeah, man, I do hope it hits this year, because that would be such a cool like cap to what's already been a pretty damn good year for PlayStation.
Mm.
So yeah, I hope it hits. Because yeah, also I'm even with that aside, I'm just looking forward to the game by itself.
Yeah.
So yeah, we haven't. I don't think we've really seen like any of the party members yet, right?
No, yeah, we just saw that one guy just soloing.
Yeah.
There's a
by
time skip,
himself.
right? It
Yeah,
feels like there's a time.
yeah.
I like that. He's like really quote unquote innocent, and then he's like, "Oh, I've seen shit." You know, it's really cool.
Yeah, the disgruntled angry white man.
Yes,
Protagonist,
I love that shit, man.
yeah. It's but on top of the visuals too, or at least on topic of the visuals, I feel like this is gonna be a really point contender for a lot of people. Where a lot of people are like, man, it doesn't look next gen. I'm just like, oh my god.
Yeah, well, y'all
I'm
can
ready.
suck it
I'm
up.
ready for that cringe, man. I'm ready for that cringe.
Quinge.
That this game isn't gonna look, or it's gonna look as good as 15, but not as good as like something like Horizon Forbidden West or whatever. Like, I'm ready for those dumb conversations. I hope
man.
that people just get over it. Honestly,
Listen, man, they have it with Elden Ring, and yes, while it doesn't look like Horizon, it's still a great game. So if this game is already gonna supposedly win Game of the Year, you don't have to worry about FF16.
That's what
Yeah, it's true.
confused me about the whole like Starfield leak was first of all, we don't even know if that's true or anything like that, but like this a supposed developer said that Starfield doesn't look it looks good, but it doesn't look like Horizon Forbidden West. I'm like, that's fine. Like I don't need every game to
Look like Horizon.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
like Horizon.
yeah.
Um,
With that said, though, do people think that Horizon now sets a new standard for graphics, which is pretty cool? Honestly,
Like,
Yeah,
uh,
that's cool.
I
You
think
could
I
say
think
that.
that's I mean, aside from Ratchet and Clank, I think Horizon Forbidden West is definitely one of the best looking games of this gen so far. So the fact that
Yeah,
that's the bar, that's a pretty high freaking bar.
yeah,
For open world games, without a doubt, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think
yeah,
it does.
I still
yeah.
think that it's the standard was set by Horizon, and honestly, Demon Souls really set a standard because the graphics in Demon Souls
True,
are actually insane. Have
true,
you seen those
true.
characters talk? Every limb,
Yeah,
every
the
single
little I played
muscle,
of it, yeah, it was like insane. Yeah,
dude. Every single muscle in their mouth moves like it's insane. But Horizon, I think, set a standard as well for open worlds, just looking amazing and feeling like pretty alive.
Yeah.
You know?
hoping the
So
same with
speaking
Street Fighter
of
Six, honestly.
Yeah.
Square Enix, we had Yuji Naka this week
Mm.
come out and kind of how do I say this? Drug Square Enix through the mud, to put it
Yeah.
lightly.
Yeah.
Uh,
Hell
Lightly.
yeah,
so
he did.
so
Hell yeah,
so
he did.
TLDR. I'm quoting Nibel here. Quote unquote. Yuji Naka reveals that 6 months before Balan Wonderworld came out, he was removed as director and therefore filed a lawsuit against Square Enix, which is now over. He knew that the game was unfinished and criticizes both Square Enix and Arzest for going forward with the release. He has a whole
Yes.
thread on his Twitter account going much more in depth into this than what I just said. But another thing he said, which really kind of stood out to me, was he said he doesn't think Square Enix cares about gamers, which was wild just to see. But yeah, so just wanted to get everyone's thoughts on this. Um,
I have a
for me,
little
really quickly, this is only one man's account, right? Like we don't
yep.
know Square Enix's side and how they feel about this. Maybe they saw something in Yuji, that warranted his removal or something. I don't know. Obviously, I will say that Yuji Naka does have a record of being incredibly difficult to work with. Specifically talking about Sonic Extreme. He has a
Really?
history.
Okay.
He has a history of throwing his own dev team under the bus, right? So he's not the most, I guess, amicable to work with.
Hmm.
Just want to throw that out to kind of get both sides here, but just on face value, specifically going off of what Yuji said, what is everyone's reaction to this?
What I wanted to do real quick, just for the listeners, I want to give just a little excerpt from Polygon that just explains a little bit of what Naga stated. Uh, According to Naka, he was removed as director of Battle Wonderworld by the game's producer, head of marketing, head of sound, managing director, and the human resources department for two reasons. One issue that caused conflict during development, Naka said, citing court documents, was a promotion that used a YouTuber's piano arrangement of music from Balan Wonderworld instead of the original composition. Naka said he insisted that the original be released. The second issue was a disagreement with Arcest, the game's developer, over the quality of the game. Naka said he made comments to Arcest about improvements to Balan Wonderworld and bug fixes that were not addressed, leading to a ruined relationship with Arcest. Naka further apologized to fans for not interacting with them on social media, saying he was restricted from doing so by Square Enix. He said he believes that Square Enix does not value games fans or games themselves, based on his experience developing Balan Wonderworld. Just a little context for that.
Yeah, that last quote is absolutely wild to me. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, and pretty damning at the same time. But
Yeah.
yeah. Walt, what's your thoughts, man?
It's tough when it's it was through Twitter and not having the other side talk. You're not having Square Enix like have like a statement or something. It's hard to gauge exactly like who where can you point at some holes in the story or who do you think like what checks out and whatnot. And right now knowing that Yuji Naka does have that not so amicable history, this very much reminds me of another developer that doesn't have the best history of working with people, and that's Kojima. And Kojima's someone that had trouble with another company, which was Konami. And this just reminds me of that situation again, where he got restricted access to social media. Konami got restricted access to even an award, to not show up to the Game Awards. So it very much comes down to the situation where if I need to like know what Square Enix side sounds like to see if they try to deny anything. But this would not surprise me if this was the case. As Square, I mean, as much as as good as the certain games that Square has released and whatnot, and there are certain decisions that even Macho has gone to depth where they can be questionable, and I wouldn't be surprised if this was one of them behind the scenes. And not to say Yuji Naka being one of the, I think he's like you can credit him as like one of the co-creators of Sonic,
Yeah.
so he's like incredibly iconic in the video game industry. I don't think that he is, although he, of his history, I think there's some authority behind his statements, but again, it's hard to gauge if we don't really know the other side, and if he even brought citing court and like legalese and whatnot, then we can very much assume that this was more serious than we could have thought. What initially was, Yuji Naka seems like he lost his edge, to oh no, this was more of a legal situation. it wouldn't surprise me, man. This is not only with Square. I bet that there's countless of stories like this that happen behind the scenes. Only that this time it was that much noticeable.
And like we've had like instances of like Square, for instance, like putting insane sort of like sales expectations on on studios, things like Tomb Raider, that hitting like something like 5 million and it still being a disappointment to Square. So like I definitely do think that there is some truth to possibly Square not being the easiest to work with.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Macho, how do you, as the sort of resident Square fan, how do you feel about this?
Yeah, this is a tricky situation, only because of the fact that I'm pretty much an advocator of listening to both sides of any story,
Yeah.
especially when something is as controversial as this, and it goes with anything. So obviously, I would love for Square to kind of comment on this, but obviously they're not. They're just going to leave it by the wayside and keep everything in the court, which makes sense, obviously, but still. Yeah, to me, it wasn't really surprising to hear this, and for him to come out with such damning statements like they don't care about gamers, or they're pretty much lost their way. And honestly, it's not surprising, man. They started off the new year with talking about NFTs. You know what I mean?
And what was the CEO or whatever, the guy who first said that? Like, what was his like didn't he have like a non-apology for it? Like he kind of like doubled down on it or something like that.
Yeah, because they're talking about it with investors, I think it was, or shareholders, whatever the case may be. So they're talking about, we have like this, we like really developed this blockchain for our games and all that kind of stuff. Whatever it's going to turn into, it's probably more than likely in the pipeline for like a mobile game or something like that. That start off small and then eventually gradual into the console free to play space. We know they've been trying to dip their toes into free to play games, or not free to play games, but games as a service rather, and both of them obviously didn't do really well with Avengers and Babylon's Fall. But regardless, that's besides the point. I can see where this guy's coming from, but it's actually news to me that he's apparently really hard to work with. And so again, there's that other side of the story that I like to know, of like, okay, what's really going on behind the curtain here? Who's really at fault? What did push come to shove? Both parties are at fault, it seems like, anyways.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So
I think I think that's probably my takeaway. Just bouncing off of that really quick.
Yeah, go for it.
I think that's probably my biggest takeaway, is that there definitely seems like a little bit of both in terms of truth. That there's a little bit of both sides at fault for at this seemingly.
Yeah. And I really think it came to push, came to shove kind of thing, especially if the guy got. I think the story was the story that he got jumped off the project like a month before the game came out or something like that, something along those lines, and they released it unfinished, and it was not like game that was met up to the standards that it needed to be. So it's a lot of behind the scenes stuff, and honestly, it's just right now it's kind of par for the course. This is why like when things for Final Fantasy 14 Endwalker, for Final Fantasy 7 Remake, for Triangle Strategy, to me it's a goddamn miracle that these games come out the way they do, and they're so amazing, and they are what make Square's legacy so rich. Even going back to Parasite Eve, you know, like you see the history, you see like what their mentality was in making great and unique games, and then they released stuff like Chocobo GP and Balin's Wonderworld and Babylon's Fall and then Avengers, and you're just like, what? Where's the consistency here? And a lot of it, I think it was because of its comments. They say like Square doesn't care about gamers, and I don't think that's not true. I really think that there's some validity to that. We've seen it time and time and again, and it really comes down to the creators. I know I know I am definitely like the Square fan. That's like that's a no-brainer. But I'm definitely more of an advocator for the creatives and developers than I am for the actual company. Especially like the people in charge and stuff like that. Like I think that the actual CEO is like so out of touch. But then we have guys like Yoshi P and then Hajime Tabata and then Tetsuya Nomura, and all the composers are in Square and just doing their damnedest to make like the best thing they can. That really give me hope for their games. And then stuff like this happens, and I'm just like, all right, I think there's actually need to be some quality control. There needs to be some management reconfiguration and just overall new outlook, because this is looking, it's getting worse every time. And it's not just the games anymore. Now it's actually like developers and taking them, and a developer taking the Square to court and all this kind of crazy stuff. So yeah. It's nuts to me. It's absolutely baffling.
Yeah. Yeah, well said. I don't know if there's really much else to really say.
I died again.
Yeah, I wonder if at some point do you guys think that Square's gonna release a statement about this? Have they? I don't know if they have.
Have they, Macho?
No. I seriously doubt that they would. But it's unless it's something that was like as damning as like, you know, like a sexual assault or anything like that, or something where they had to come out, right? That's something that's really affected developers. Like it's like if someone on the Balan Wonderworld development team was like, well, I experienced harassment, whatever, and Square allowed this to happen, then they'll have to say something. There's one guy saying that, you know, Square doesn't care about fans. They don't care. You know, they're gonna keep pushing out their games.
They're like,
we
don't give a
pushing out
shit.
their games and not care. Yeah, they're gonna keep pushing out their games and just not care, because
all they have to do is release a trailer for Final Fantasy 16, and then everyone will.
Are you saying they're trying to pull off the Nintendo swag?
I was gonna say that's a Sony thing. Sony, because people they talk shit about Sony, and as soon as they release another game,
man, they tried their damnedest with the employee accusations one, and then Xenoblade Chronicles releases 3 months early.
Oh no, I mean more in the vein of like last year we talked about how Sony very much, like people talk about, oh, where's the game? As soon as a game starts, like there's a trailer for another IP, it's like, oh, suddenly Sony is like all perfect, but then meanwhile they're like a laughing stock. But no, legal wise, no, they're not.
Oh yeah, because they did have some like employee accusation or something like that too. But I think the judge actually dismissed a couple of like those complaints.
Well, I bet he was a Sony fan.
They bribed him with a PS5.
Yeah, man. He was like, "Hey, man."
Just like that surgeon, man. Just like that surgeon.
Yo, that wild. That shit wild, man.
Yo.
We don't. I think we're in the wrong timeline.
Yeah. We don't talk about Bruno, man. We don't talk about Bruno.
That's crazy you say that, man. I just watched that movie.
It's good, right? It's a good movie.
It's so good.
My friend had to like twist my arm to watch it with her, because like I was like, man, I'm not watching it, Kana.
It's a good movie, man.
Yeah, eventually.
What, you don't like Hispanic themed movies? Huh?
Yeah, I hate my people. I hate my people.
You hate your people, huh? You
No,
colorist.
he does, man. He heard he heard arepas and he was like, "Nah, I'm good. I'm good. I don't need that."
I just haven't watched a Pixar movie since like I don't know, since like
Is
What's wrong
Disney
with you?
animated feature? Get it right, son. Is Disney animated? All right.
since I was like 16 or something. I don't know.
What's wrong with you?
I'm
I
grown
grew
up.
up.
He has a cold heart. He said this before, man. He told us this already.
Yeah, that too.
This is all I'm hearing. That's all I'm hearing, so. You say I haven't watched it since I was 16. All I heard was 16.
Isn't there a guy from that lobster from Futurama? Doesn't he say that?
Soyberg.
But yeah, man, that's gonna wrap it up for Yuji Naka versus Square Enix.
Yes,
I'm
sir.
very curious to see if
Naka
we
v
get,
Enix.
very curious to see if we get some sort of continuation of this in any form.
God, I keep dying.
Let's talk about God, I feel like there was something else I wanted to
I
mention.
suck. PlayStation.
Really quickly, let's go over Returnal's anniversary before we jump into sort of the major
Yeah.
topic of the week.
Oh yeah. Sure.
Happy birthday,
So
Returnal.
Returnal is 1 year old, man.
Yay.
They just put up like a little blog post about it, which was cool. But yeah, aside from that, what is everyone's? I guess like I think I can say with the utmost confidence that us three here at the DualShock Sense Podcast, we're all very big fans of Returnal. We all really loved it.
Yes.
We can't talk enough about the Hyperion moment.
Amen.
That boss fight, and then also obviously the ascent to Hyperion. But what are some other things that kind of stood out to you guys playing Returnal?
Oh man, the soundtrack, the music, the score, man. That shit a
That damn
banger.
gameplay, man. That damn gameplay was prime.
Yeah.
Are you kidding? That arcade arcade hectic action of Resogun, excuse me, was sound in that game, and I did not expect that at all. I really thought it was gonna be way more slower paced, and it wasn't really gonna live up to kind of like the arcade roots, based on the few stuff that I saw. But once I saw those particle effects and those crazy orbs just going in all directions, and just like not only like it looking cool but feeling even better, I still don't know how they did it, man. It's quite a miraculous feat what they did with Returnal.
They
On
talk
top
with
of adding like a
Molecule.
really complex and really cool story and everything else. So
Yeah. They talked with Molecule. That's how they got it done. Like, Molecule, how you do this particle effects? I'm like, okay. So you just spam this button over here. And look at that. Look at all those lights. Ah, yeah. That's how the game developed. That's how game dev
that's how
works.
game development works. Oh
Yeah.
man, that's
You just
wild.
spam a button and then lights start going out. Man, the game, it's always a highlight just to remember moments like, and I'll make the comparison until the day I die. I love the movie Annihilation. It's the same kind of vibe. It's the same kind of feeling. Being in a completely alien area, alien world. The music complements it so perfectly. The aliens are alien-like. Like, they're not just, I'm a humanoid that is an alien, like Mass Effect, you know? It's not like, oh, look at me, I have a gun. It's like, no, you don't have a gun. You're an alien. You shoot beams. Like, they nailed the enemy design. I think like that's one of the strongest things of Returnal. Just squids and blobs and man, it good shit out of 10.
Yeah, every design's absolutely prime. Yeah, I think that's a
Absolutely.
big factor too. It's like my enjoyment for like just that's one of the things that makes like the Souls games so interesting and so fun to watch too. Is the enemy designs. Returnal had that in spades.
Yeah, Soul, you made games? I didn't know you made games, Soul.
Oh yeah, man.
Damn.
Yeah, man. Returnal's a fucking awesome game.
alright.
I mean, as Macho kind of talked about, the gameplay is absolutely sublime once it all starts to click.
Yes, sir.
It's absolutely sublime. One of the best like just like in terms of just like pure feel, I think it's one of the best in that aspect. But yeah, and then obviously I'm pretty sure I've talked about the narrative extensively before, but yeah, I really love that narrative between just learning about Celine and her mother and Helios as well. All that stuff is fucking awesome. Yeah, I don't know if there's much else to really say about it. Returnal, absolutely play it. It's awesome. Um,
Sir, if you have a PS5. If you don't, then I'm sorry.
Oh,
I
Walt,
want
did
to.
you finish Returnal, by the way?
Shut up. No, I haven't.
oh, well, look at what we have here.
Let me tell you, man. If it wasn't for getting to the boss, I would have beaten it. But that area, I have to be in the mindset for it, man.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
Macho,
water.
you know what this sounds like to me?
yeah.
What?
Yeah.
This sounds like a whole lot of bullshit.
Yeah. How many?
Can you
Oh,
smell that? Can you smell that?
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
man.
how many
Or no,
times did
no,
you die?
what's that? What's that meme? It's like, it sounds like a whole lot of barnacles. Yeah. Speaking of which, have you guys seen? This is like the funniest fucking meme that I've seen like in a while. Have you guys seen that one freeze frame of like the Krusty Krab fucking exploding and Mr. Krabs and Squidward being like blown back by the explosion?
I
What the
have not. I have
fuck?
not.
Let me send it in the chat right now because it's the funniest thing right now to me. Um, what the fuck?
Uh-oh. Whoa, someone's listening to someone's on the hub. Uh-oh.
Oh, whoa,
Yo, I was looking at SpongeBob, you fiend.
whoa. But yeah, look at the chat. Look at the chat right now. On the
Let me see.
Twitter DM.
Let's see what this man's sending.
Is it not the funniest thing? There was this one. I think it was not the Onion, but I think it's called like the hard drive on Twitter. They posted they quote tweeted something that Nintendo was saying that they were like shutting down like online servers on the Wii or something like that for Mario Kart Wii, and the hard drive they quote tweeted with that image of like of the Krusty Krab exploding and Mr. Krabs and Squidward blowing back, and like the caption was me when Nintendo turns off the Mario Kart Wii servers in 2023. um, so yeah, man. I don't know where I was going with that, but
Yeah, no, you're wild.
yeah, but yeah. So that's it for Returnal. Just wanted to give it a little bit of love. Also, awesome to see it getting some of that love reciprocated in some of the recent award shows. Like BAFTA, obviously it won, best game. It won like 4 awards total that night. Jane Perry won, achievement in performance for Celine as well. So yeah, just awesome to see that it was getting some love in places outside of the video game awards. Um,
Yeah, for sure. For
but
sure.
yeah, man. So that is Returnal. So let's move on to probably our biggest topic of the week, and that is PlayStation Plus.
Uh,
The sort of controversy with its tiers and its stacking. Macho, I'm gonna lean on you to kind of explain this one because this is something that as I don't care about the new subscription service or something like that. I don't plan on getting it. So like all of this has just kind of been like flying over my head. So what's the controversy? What's going on with this?
oh man. Caught me off guard, man. I, lo- I,
Well,
lo- I,
stall,
lo- I
stall.
left it. Yeah, I left it with
Well,
Walt. Yeah, because I was like, I'm the Square Enix guy, so I was gonna tackle Balin and Final Fantasy 16. So Walt can do
oh
the PS Plus
man,
stuff.
oh brother. Wait a minute, brother. This thing, I'm also like very indifferent. Like so. Let- Give me.
Well, I mean, just I guess I can kind of touch on because I have been like in the Twitter spaces and just Twitter in
Yeah,
general.
yeah. This man
Um,
actually joined the Twitter space. I'm
yes, yes,
flabbergasted.
they're not full of debauchery. They're actually some really good Twitter spaces with good conversations. So
You know
I
what?
endorse them.
If you give me a second, I can pull up this article really
Yeah,
quick
yeah. I
and
mean,
give you
well,
some
Yeah.
context.
just to kind of touch on the controversy of like what people are really up and about. It's more or less a conversion rate, and people are between buying like a PS Plus card and buying a PS Now card, and like Sony's way of actually um, converting your purchase of a $60 year subscription or a 3 month subscription or a 1 month subscription, and basically turning it into the new tiers, which are obviously priced differently. with the premium one being double the price, like 120 a year. Um, and so the biggest thing about that is just the conversion rate. People are kind of like, "What's going on? This is really confusing. This is not consumer friendly." And the other part of it, the game, the service is releasing soon. It's releasing next month.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, next month in like June 13th or something like that.
Yeah.
And the only thing we really have from it that's super concrete is from the blog and a couple of leaks that have popped up of what's going to appear in like the highest tier,
Mm-hmm.
and that's about it. But yeah, I think that's kind of like what's really kind of floating around. I'm sort of indifferent to it as well until I get a list of those games. So
Yeah, that's the main thing. Like and we mentioned it a couple of podcasts ago where they say 700 plus games, and I'm like, I don't give a shit. Like, what are those games? You know, like it very much comes down to you can give me. Listen, you can tell me there's over 1,000 games on the Switch. Yeah, 900 of them are mobile games. Like there's so much garbage in so many places that you really I'm not down. And again, it's a lot of money. Like it's gonna be a commitment. And again, when I saw the conversion table, it it's so bare bones. It's so that's one thing. It's not like they didn't break it down. They didn't make a little nice little chart. You know, when they where they give you like the X and the check marks. Like this is included. No, you can't do this with this one. No, it's like okay, so 3 months. This is what's up. The 6 months. This is what's up. We're not gonna
yeah.
elaborate on it. This is the conversion, and I'm just like, okay, well, I'm not. I'm like that meme where it says, "I ain't gonna read all that. Good for you." Oh, I'm sorry. You know, I'm like I ain't reading all
Oh, you're
that.
not gonna read it, Walt? You're not gonna read it?
I ain't gonna read it. No, Macho. I see where you're going with this. We streamed for 5 hours. We have evidence. I know what you mean, but I
Yeah,
am.
we're having a nice podcast here, and we have pure evidence. You just came out your mouth, all right? It just came out your mouth. I
Yeah, I
ain't gonna
didn't read.
read
That's
it.
why I said I'm indifferent.
I ain't gonna read it.
That's why I said I'm indifferent to it. I'm hearing a lot of from you, man. I'm hearing a lot of.
But I mean, to your point though, I
Yeah,
understand. Yeah, because it's a lot of gibberish, which like it seems like they're just kind of pumping out and really kind of missing the mark. And on top of all this, actually, so one thing I forgot to mention was that they blocked a lot of people the ability to stack their
Yeah, so
PS.
that's what
Yeah.
I wanted to get into primarily. So,
Okay.
this is from The Verge. Um, let's see. So, obviously, touching on the stacking, many users were stacking prepaid subscriptions to PlayStation Now. But Sony was quick to stop many people from exploiting that discount, but it couldn't keep people from buying and redeeming the cards for some sort of service. And those remaining PS Now voucher cards will give you at least a partial PlayStation Plus premium subscription. So at least starting in June, Sony is now keeping many people from redeeming prepaid vouchers until after the PS Plus relaunch. Only users who aren't already subscribed can redeem a 1, 3, or 12-month prepaid card, which are still being sold at retailers. So The Verge goes on to say, what happens if you have a prepaid voucher once June rolls around? Well, it will still be worth redeeming them once you're able. Sony made this Sony made this helpful chart to explain how much they're worth when converting to the new service. While a month of PlayStation Now won't buy you a month of PlayStation Plus Premium, Sony says you'll still get the length of time equivalent to the monetary value of your original voucher. Um, and then they finish off to say, "Did I say helpful? I meant dreadful." But just as Sony's announcement of its new PS Plus service has been rife with confusion, so too has its communication of conversions up until now. So this is the kind of classic thing of like whenever we see um, companies releasing charts of like, hey, this is what's included in the regular version of the game. Here's what's included in the special edition. Here's what's
Yeah.
included in the collector's edition. Like we always kind of like roll our eyes at that sort of thing
yeah,
Sonic
because
Origins just did that.
exactly, and they got they got grilled for it. They got cooked like a rotisserie chicken for it.
Or
And
like
now
a roadkill hedgehog.
yes, sir.
Damn.
So seeing the same thing with like Sony's PlayStation Plus voucher conversion chart, and like seeing them being like, okay, so in the essential, converted to 92 days of PlayStation Plus Essential, extra converted to 58 days of PlayStation Plus Extra. Like all of this, like purely like to me, like if you need a goddamn chart to explain like your product or what you're selling to people, like I don't know, I feel like we got like our wires crossed. Like there's something obviously wrong with that. Like I
Yeah.
feel like it should be simple and easy to communicate, and I don't need to be looking up a goddamn chart to figure out like what I'm getting for like what I'm paying for. Like
Yeah.
I don't know if that's just me, but yeah,
No,
so
it's not. It's not just you, man.
It
Definitely.
should
yeah,
it should be simple and clean.
yeah.
Yes,
So
it should. Yes, it should.
so the stacking thing, how do you guys feel about it? Obviously, they don't want people taking it's definitely anti-consumer, but at the same time, I feel like I can't be surprised that they would do this eventually.
So can y'all so I found out about stacking this week. So can y'all like elaborate on it? Like what is the stacking? What does the stacking like benefit you? Like has it evolved? Has it been the same throughout? Has it is it recent? Like what's the opinion, the public opinion with stacking?
I mean, well, like the idea about it is you're buying multiple subscription cards, right? And just really just stacking it through for the next couple of years or for how many years that you're actually paying for it. And the idea behind this is that you'll buy um, the cards that go on sale, right? Whether CD keys or whether some sale that's going on, and you're basically paying more to pay less in the long run. So
Mm,
the fact that Sony is like blocking people from doing this so they don't take advantage of the actual pricing and stuff like that. It's to me, it's like it's not fake outrage, but like I can see people being upset. But like at the same time, um, for me at least, like I don't know, I never saw the sense of like paying so much for a subscription service that's about promises. Like I rather just use that money to pay for the games that I want, rather than
mm-hmm.
just hope for something to come to the service. So for people to kind of like be like super upset about this, I guess I don't know how many people actually stack their subscription services, but it must be a lot if a lot of people are talking about it and are very upset by it. So um, I don't know. It's really weird to me that people would just be so upset about not stacking their subscription service when they complain so much about it at the same time. So it's weird to me. It's weird kind of energy that kind of floats around. It feels a little bit like fake outrage and just console warring, but at the same time, I understand why people would be upset if they do stack and if they want to take advantage of the pay more to pay less in the long run kind of my
It's
idea.
it's probably it's probably the part like the fact that like they've going back to the block thing, but they disabled the ability to redeem PlayStation Plus codes from third party retailers, right? Um, so like kind of like removing that option from people does kind of suck.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah. Um,
But at
Okay.
the same time, like it's like company's gonna company. Like they're gonna find a way to kind of keep the money in their pockets and not let you make a deal, um, and take advantage of this kind of stuff. But to me, what this kind of all really points out to is a problem that we've been having with Sony since the start of the PS5 generation, which is really poor planning. Besides their games, right? They're rock solid in game development and stuff like that. But when it comes to the actual consoles and the console and the services and features, a lot of it feels half baked, and this is like another version of that where they obviously had this feels like a rush job, and it wasn't fully planned out. Because if they really wanted to do right by this, then they would have phased out the PS Now cards and the original PS Plus cards as they have been doing, but being at a more cadence to have a little more rhythm to it, and then putting out the new PS Plus cards that can make everything less confusing. Because now you can buy a PS Now card, it's not the exact same as buying a PS Plus card for a month or for a year. Like it's very confusing stuff, and I think like the conversion rate is to me doesn't make any sense because aren't PS Now and PS Plus is priced the same per month and per year?
I think so.
like $10 a month, $100, no, $60 per year, something like that. So if they're the same, then why have different prices for each car that you're redeeming? I don't understand. So it's really
Yeah,
confusing.
it's weird. And I guess like to me, kind of going back to like the whole communication thing, um, to me it just feels like it kind of like we've done this same song and dance before, of like, kind of even going back to like the Horizon sort of $10 upgrade thing, where like it's something that like it's a no-brainer. Like these things are no-brainers that is going to upset the community, and then a couple days later we get that classic Jim Ryan letter that says, "Oh, we apologize for this. We're gonna reverse this, blah blah blah," and it just feels like same song dance. I can definitely see this. Maybe not, but like I feel like it could be another case of that happening again with this, where it is clearly something, at least with the flow chart and making this so overly complicated, where they are going to put out a press release, I don't know, like re-explaining themselves or something, or maybe even reversing their decision on the stacking or something like that. It just feels like these are like unforced errors, like they're shooting themselves in the foot needlessly. These are things that to us seem like, why would you, this is so obviously something that you shouldn't be doing, yet they're doing it anyway. And I don't know, I feel like there's multiple instances of this happening, and it's just like, haven't you guys learned from like the last two instances of you guys doing things like this that make your community upset, and then reversing it a couple days later that you shouldn't be doing things like this? Like I don't know, it's really, it feels like we should know this by now, but they keep doing shit like this. So
Yeah, and
yeah,
that's why I'm so okay with people giving them shit. It's the same thing with Square Enix, right? Like, obviously, I have all my criticisms for that company. The same thing with PlayStation. When they do something shitty, call them out. I don't care how much I like their games. I don't care how much I like their product. I will voice that opinion because I care about the ecosystem. I care about the games they put out. And at the same time, I want it to benefit me. I'm the consumer. Like, I want to come home and not worry about this kind of shit, you know?
yeah, yeah, for sure.
So I like, I don't want, it's so weird to me, like you said. So it's like they know what they need to do and what they don't need to do. So I don't understand why it's such a far cry from like what we had at the beginning of the PS4 to now.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Again, like the stacking is something that doesn't really mean much to me because I've never done it.
Yeah, me
Yeah,
neither.
me neither. Me neither.
But I could see on a pure consumer level, if you're trying to take advantage of and save some money off some discounted codes, and Sony is blocking your ability to do that, yeah, I can definitely sympathize as to why people would be upset about that, um, for sure. But yeah, for me, it doesn't. Again, as someone who isn't interested in this service in general, it's it doesn't really mean much to me. Um, but yeah, on top of that, I guess just my main thing is just the fucking chart, man. It's just so needlessly overcomplicated.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, does anyone have anything else to really add? I guess sort of the main takeaway is that this is just like another. I'm kind of understanding where you guys are coming from, man. This is another case of Sony botching, just communication, where these things should be a slam dunk. These things should be things that you have well planned out well in advance, but it just seems like they're just doing these things kind of like haphazardly, and they don't care. So like, why should I care if it seems like you guys don't?
Yes,
Exactly.
sir.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's my whole takeaway from all this. Really, it's really kind of just spreading the same ground that we've been covering for the past couple of years, and it's a far cry from when we had like the Jack Trenton, the Sean Layden, Adam Boyce kind of days where everything felt like it had a purpose, and their moves that they were making fans happy, but also making them successful. So everyone was kind of shaking each other's hands, whereas it feels like Sony a lot of the time is spitting into their hands and wanting us to shake it, but at the same time we're just like, no, no, that's not gonna
Yeah,
happen.
yeah, man. Yeah, definitely. Just again, unforced errors, man. Like, yeah.
And give me my goddamn games, man. I want my list of games. I don't want to leak. I understand Tekken 3 and Siphon Filter. Cool. Where's my stuff? Let me see that. I want to see Sly trilogy. Where's that?
Come on now.
And this thing's coming out in June, right?
Yep.
Okay, and we are pretty much in May, so like, you know, I would like to know what is in these. You know, I would like to know what I would theoretically be paying for. You know, no rush, I guess.
Exactly, and that's the thing when people are like rushing to stack their years, and they're like, "Oh, it's gonna be like, what are you stacking for? You don't even know what's gonna be in the service, man." Like, come on, like that's where I kind of go into the little bit of the fake outrage. I'm like, you're paying for promises, man. Just look forward to the games that are coming out, man. That you actually know are here. Come on,
it's like when I saw a lot of comments going, yeah, like my friend, he did this, and now he has like PS Plus until like 2030, and I'm like, why?
What's the incentive? Yeah, what's the incentive? Because I know BG stacked his PS Plus for like the entire PS4 generation. Only for PS4 to have the less amount of multiplayer games that he likes to play.
Well, I'll
what?
Be devil's advocate is that if you're someone who does play, you know, like Call of Duty and all the major multiplayer games, then I absolutely see the value in stacking for sure.
That's fair. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, sure,
absolutely.
You're right.
But again, like for someone like us, I assume, you know, who it doesn't play multiplayer games like every single day of our lives, then, you know, this is probably something that we wouldn't do. But yeah, for sure, if you're this upcoming generation with just how much investment Sony is putting into multiplayer, I could definitely see this potentially being a period where I would want to do that if, you know, the games are things that I'm interested in, the multiplayer ones. So yeah, I could definitely see why people would want to do it.
Yeah, actually, now you said that, it does ring the bell of like there are other stuff in this service that are worth getting the subscription for, like cloud saves and
for sure,
and online stuff like
discounts.
that. Yeah.
There's some discounts for games. So
there actually are pretty notable discounts. But yeah, I do forget sometimes that you need the subscription service even to play online. So.
Yeah, and I think that it's as long as you're intent, like, don't. Here's the thing: do whatever you want with your money. I mean, obviously, do whatever, but don't lie to me. Don't fake outrage. Don't pretend like you care about a problem that you don't really care about. Like, that's just disingenuous. You see a lot of that from people, and that's the only part that's like. That's why I don't even spend time arguing with people. I don't even join the Twitter Spaces because it's like, what was the energy, Macho? Or the I'm the host? Like they were fighting each other. No.
I mean that was a long time ago, but yeah, it's just one guy about I'm the host.
Yeah.
No, but I mean the Twitter Spaces I've been joining have been more just kind of conversations, like friendly and normal conversations about the community and stuff like that.
That's
really
good.
Crazy.
Yeah. We need more. We need more of that.
I mean, one dude was getting roasted for a couple of hours, but
why?
Besides the point, it was. I see it as a community healing sort of.
Yeah.
Sort of way. Yeah. But regardless, it was. But yeah. There was some more. There's more good than bad, I'll say.
Yeah, it's just vocal minority, but yeah, I agree.
Yes, absolutely.
So yeah, that is, I think, pretty much it for the podcast. I think we don't really
the
have
podcast.
Much... Yeah. I guess really quickly we can kind of touch on Xbox. They did confirm their Xbox and Bethesda Games Showcase for June 12th. So really quickly, what do you guys what's like the one, kind of go around the table, what is the one sort of title you're hoping to see there?
Starfield.
that's like
you
like
hope to see that?
That's like a 99.9% chance that's going to be there.
Listen, man.
Get wild, man.
Wild?
What
Hooga booga.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah, come on now. Come on.
Well, what do you have, Macho? What do you expect? Come on, throw that curve. What are you expecting?
Killer Instinct 2.
Oh, you've been preaching that for like 50 podcasts, though.
Exactly, exactly. That's what I want from them. I want Killer Instinct 2. Again, the biggest problem is that they haven't found a developer so that we know. Uh, and I hope they really surprise us and bring out Killer Instinct 2 because that first game is amazing and set the groundwork for last generation for some fighters. And man, I would just love to see those characters come back in a next gen form. And 'cause that game looks incredible, anyways. But if we get like a next gen version of, that game, or at least for Killer Instinct 2, um, and to bring in new mechanics, bring in new characters, like I'll be so down for that. I really, really want that.
Are
And
we?
then the other is Fable. I doubt that we'll see it
Oh,
because we're just coming off of Forza Horizon 5.
yeah.
So I'm guessing they're just gonna go dark on that until it's ready. But I really hope that it's not in development hell like some of their games have been recently.
Did they
And
say
yeah,
if this was a just pure development or like also they're published, the ones they're published titles
for I mean
for
it's
Bethesda?
Bethesda and Xbox. So
Yeah, but like
um,
is
yeah,
Bethesda like just purely Bethesda in general, publisher and dev, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
so
yeah.
if we're going that route, then I'm like, because there's a lot of games that bring Prey again, bring a next gen Prey, or bring the next installment of Wolfenstein next gen. Do us better than Youngblood, you know?
For me, definitely want to see because they showed it last year
Mm-hmm.
at their showcase. I want to see Plague Tale Requiem because
Mm.
we that game has been silent since
Did you
that
see
reveal
the
last year.
collector's edition?
No, I did not.
Oh, buddy, should look beautiful.
Um,
Hellblade 2
but
maybe.
yeah,
Ooh.
that will definitely be. It has to be there. Um,
You think so?
so yeah, I mean, the word is that it's coming out next year, so like I would assume that yeah, we see some more gameplay. I mean, they showed some a little bit more at Game Awards last year, so I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, they have to start showing some of their big guns. Like it's been like 2 or 3 years, since these games have been announced. So like I feel like we kind of need to get like the ball rolling and start seeing some of these things like Avowed, Fable, Hellblade 2. Um, yeah, I would definitely say that we need to. Um, but all right, so the other major thing that we can kind of get through that we didn't talk about was Ubisoft. Ubisoft, according to Kotaku, is looking to sell, or they're prepping for a possible sale. Um, so this is going off of Nibel. Mentioned factors are that there is no Guillemot left to take over. The ongoing workplace controversy. We kind of hear this thing about the mass exodus. That's definitely affected Ubisoft. Just the amount of people who are leaving in not only just like regular positions, but also like senior developers who are leaving the company. And of course, a lot of their major projects are struggling right now. So obviously, like Skull and Bones, that just had like a beta or a closed beta or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
and people seem to be very underwhelmed by it. Also, in the article, they mentioned that as both the next Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, and Ghost Recon are further away than Ubisoft had originally planned. So all of these factors put together are kind of contributing to the possibility of Ubisoft wanting to sell. So is this a surprise to you guys? Were you guys expecting this to happen? And then also tell me, do you guys want Sony to buy them?
You can't even
Ah,
finish your sentence, man.
I can't. I can't. Couldn't bring myself to do it.
Yeah, man. Just man, how far Ubisoft has fallen, dog. It's kind of yeah. I mean, dude, I'm really stressed for Avatar, man. That's all I
speechless.
care about.
This man's
Frontiers of
speechless.
Pandora. I'm really stressed for that game, dog. I really want it to be so good. I want that game to be just amazing, especially on the hype of Avatar 2 this year. I'm ready, man. I'm ready for, but it's Ubisoft. Um, it's just Ubisoft, bro. Like it's kind of wild to me that they even think it'd be up for selling. But again, it makes sense because they're having a ton of problems, a ton of issues lately, and this immediately just brought me back to Phil Spencer reading the news, rubbing his hands together, getting the paycheck ready. Who cares if the FTC is looking down on the Activision Blizzard deal? Who cares? Who cares? They have doubts. We're gonna scoop up Ubisoft. And I
Wasn't
totally see that
Ubisoft
happening.
the one that was also making a Star Wars game?
I think so. But
So
I
like,
mean, but realistically, if I think who were to buy them, it wouldn't be Sony. I would not want Sony to buy Ubisoft. I wouldn't really care either way if they did.
I feel like Microsoft would do it. I don't know.
No, I honestly I joked about the whole FTC thing, but I really think they're kind of under hot water with that, and they shouldn't be really making any crazy moves. I mean, who am I to say because I'm not a CEO and stuff like that, but I can see that being the reason why they wouldn't be jumping ahead of that and want to scoop up Ubisoft. But I do see Amazon, I do see
Tencent?
Tencent coming in and want to scoop them up to have that,
Dude.
because Ubisoft is a huge publisher, man. Huge. Assassin's Creed is a ginormous franchise.
Yeah.
So I can absolutely see one. I can see all the players putting their checkbooks down, but overall, if I was to really like think about it and like really see who was more realistically is going to buy them, it'll be Tencent or it'll be Amazon. But that's just me. So,
Yeah, man.
What do you guys
Yeah.
think?
I agree. I don't want them to. I wouldn't want them. Not even like just talking about the franchises, the IPs that they have, but also like I mean, clearly they have some of the biggest IPs, but like I don't know how you can like they have thousands of employees. Like they are one of the biggest like employers in the industry. I just don't know how you can like seamlessly integrate that into like what you're doing yourself. I would imagine that it would have to be kind of similar to like what Xbox is doing with like Bethesda, and they just like let them be kind of like a separate entity that sits alongside Xbox. Because yeah, I just don't know how you can absorb thousands of employees into like PlayStation Studios, for instance, and like that's so much, man. But regardless, their games are their games are so fucking boring to me. Um, I don't know. I don't know if that really adds anything to your staple of first party. Obviously, share resources and technology and all that stuff is great, but I don't know if Ubisoft does anything that Sony already like doesn't do by themselves. I would assume something like Siege would be incredibly attractive to them, but aside from that, like yeah, I don't know.
I at this point, I even like, and for the longest time, I was like in my mind, Assassin's Creed, Ragnarok or whatever, or I don't even know the name. I was like, oh man, that's cool that they're like going all out with fantasy, whatever. And I hadn't seen anything like gameplay wise. And the other day, I started looking at gameplay for that Assassin's Creed. I'm like, oh man, and that was like the last bit of hope that just left my body, where I guess there's nothing to be excited for when it comes down to like I was the most excited I was for Avatar, but that's nothing's been heard of that with everything that's been going on there. I
It's
understand
supposed to come
why.
out this year though, so
Yeah,
Wait,
well,
what? Really?
yeah,
yeah, that's cap.
No.
yeah.
They actually said 2022?
I believe so. Yeah, yeah. I mean, to me it makes sense because of the whole movie tying in, but I know it doesn't really correlate to it actually coming out. But I think it's just labeled as a 2022 game from that last trailer they had.
That is wild. I did not know that.
What else
I,
have they got in a year?
who knows, man? Since both
Another
Assassin's
Assassin's
Creed
Creed.
and the next Far Cry and the next Ghost Recon are both further away than they planned. Who knows what they
Assassin's
have?
Creed Infinity.
Yeah, I think I mean the ones that come to mind is the new Mario and Rabbids game,
Oh man.
and then
Oh dang, I forgot.
Avatar.
No. No.
The first
Please.
one was a good game though.
Right,
I have hope
exactly.
for that one. I have
Complete
hope
it,
for that one.
please. Don't do anything to it, please. I love
And
that
then
game so much.
and then Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora, and I'm sure they have something ready for Far Cry 6 too this year.
Yeah,
Some
they did the
crazy
Stranger
stuff.
Things event recently.
Yeah, so I'm sure they're gonna do something with Far Cry, and then
Maybe.
who knows with Assassin's Creed at this point.
Whoa, didn't you play that game?
Far Cry. Yeah, yeah, I played,
He
and
said that with such disdain. Didn't you play that game?
occasionally I jump back in every now and then, and I have fun. I like Far Cry. And I hadn't played Far Cry in years, so Far Cry 6. It's a nice surprise, and I'm gonna go to MegaCon, and I'm gonna get Giancarlo Esposito to sign my copy. So.
All right.
Hey man, he's
Excuse
a
me,
great
sir.
actor. He's a
Excuse me,
great
sir.
actor.
Can you cite my game, sir?
Hey sir, can you say the thing, sir? Say the thing, sir?
He's
Can I
gonna
take
say
a picture?
no.
Can
He's
you
gonna say
punch me in the
no.
face? Can you
No,
punch me in the face?
yeah, he'll just like frown and say, "Not yet," and I'll be like, "Yeah."
Can you fix your tie for me like you did in Breaking Bad episode 5 with this thing?
Can you do the fix your tie and fall on the floor and recreate that scene? It's so cool.
Yeah. Do your thing, man. Do your
Do you
thing.
think? Do the thing.
I'm
It's
excited
like,
for you. I'm excited for you, you fucking nerd.
hey man,
He's not gonna talk to you.
yeah.
Yeah. Don't, I hate to break it to you, buddy, but I want to get your hopes up.
He's like, he's not gonna talk to you.
No.
Guys, that is it for the podcast this week. We want to thank everyone for watching, and once again, it was awesome to see the support last week. So yeah, thank you guys for that. So yeah, without further ado, we're gonna get started with these outros. Walt, why don't you close things out for us?
How about you get out? No, yeah. So this weekend and following week, man, I'll be finishing up my courses for the semester. Closer and closer to that undergrad, and I'll be playing more games of the videos. Yeah, I'll be playing a lot more Parasite Eve, boy. That game's amazing. I love it. I'm having a blast. It's a gamey game. It's a very gamey game. When you play a game, you're like, this is a game, and I'm enjoying every bit of it, and you're just immersed. And oh my god, it's so amazing. I'm gonna keep playing that. I'll keep playing more Triangle Strategy. Keep
Yes, sir.
fighting those 20-hour fights. So good. Man, that game is so good. I'll be playing probably a little bit more Blood Hunt. And, of course, I didn't mention at the beginning of this podcast, I'm still chipping away at Horizon, and I'm doing a lot of side quests, a lot of side content. Leveling up,
Yes, sir.
getting acquainted with the world, as I make my way to Poseidon. Can't wait, man, can't wait. So I'll be playing more, and sleeping, and eating, and and drinking water.
And
Oh, man,
streaming.
you don't have to tell us your whole life story.
and watching more Critical Role. Oh, and shout out to this week, actually. Critical Role did a Returnal's Day stream with Stephen Colbert, and that was freaking awesome. They had a little hour and a half session, and it's now on YouTube. It's pretty nice, man.
Stephen Colbert. I love Stephen Colbert.
Yeah, man. He was with he was with Matthew, Marisha, Ashley, and Sam Riegel. They had a little adventure with some returning characters from another campaign, so it was very nice, very nice.
Awesome. And we got Macho. What's going on with you this week, man?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna dive more into Elden Ring this weekend, possibly. Yeah, I'm thinking about doing that, or maybe just more of some of my JRPG goodness here, man. I got my schedule all set for Legend of Heroes Trails, the Legend of Heroes series, so I'm going to do that as I said, same thing I did with Assassin's Creed, going it month by month, so I don't burn myself out. On top of other games that are coming out too, and I still haven't played Final Fantasy 14. I'm debating whether to kind of like jump back into 14 or to finish Elden Ring. I think I might do the latter, just so Elden Ring doesn't really fall by the wayside now that I'm really like in the mood to play it. And I'm super excited for Avatar 2, man. We finally got a release, like an actual name for it, and people that were at like the pre-screening, or so to speak, or a preview of it this past weekend, with 3D glasses and all, had like high praise for what was shown. and that it's going to be even bigger and better than in the first Avatar. And I'm really excited for it. I'm not going to lie, man. I told Walt this yesterday, but I'm going to go see Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness next weekend. But
Same.
I'm so much more excited to actually watch the first trailer for Avatar 2.
Hell yeah. Which will
than
release
the
during
actual
that
movie.
screening, right? They said they're going to release the trailer during Doctor Strange, right? During the release?
Yeah,
Or
the
something?
first Avatar 2 trailer is going to be played at Doctor Strange 2,
Yes,
and
sir.
it's going to release online a week later. So if you
Woo!
want to actually see the trailer, go watch the movie, which the movie looks amazing anyway. But
Yes.
yeah, I'm really pumped to see that trailer for the first time.
And they're
since we've
remastering
been
the
into it
first
for a
one
long time.
for,
Yes, yeah, they are.
is it this year or next year?
This year, September
This year.
23rd, they are releasing it in theaters, so like ahead of the December 16th release date for Avatar 2. So
Day one, baby.
I'm so excited for it.
Day
I really
one.
can't wait to get back to that world. I really can't wait to see what they do with it. So
I love Pandora. I love that. I love James. You did a good job there, man. No matter
Yeah,
what people
it's
say.
really-
Now, when you
really
say that
much
it's going to
there.
surpass Endgame, you know, like, lower down those expectations. I don't know if that'll be the case, but
yeah, I don't know about that one.
I don't
Yeah,
know about that
one,
because
but-
he says it's going to surpass the MCU and what. I mean, man, I don't know about that, but do your thing, man.
Yeah, I think people really underestimate kind of like the influence of that movie. So we'll see.
Yeah. And to that point of movies, real quick, I want to mention I'll be watching Doctor Strange as well. But today, I'm getting together with some friends, and we're finally going to be watching the critically acclaimed, ever engrossing, very very highly praised Morbius
First movie to
today.
hit $1 trillion.
Morbius today, man. I'll be watching Morbius with some friends.
Yep, that's what I told him. Man. I told him I'll be praying for him.
I'll let y'all know next week how that goes.
You have so many great options.
I'm-
And that's the movie that you choose.
So here's the thing. Funny fact.
Especially still talking about the Norsemen, talking about everywhere, everything all at once.
No, to that point, it's either
That's wild.
I'm
Y'all
either
going
gonna pick
drunk?
tomorrow. Either gonna
Might as
pick
well be, man. Might as well.
this week. I'm thinking of picking. I don't know what day, but I want to watch Everything Everywhere All at Once. One of the this following week, before Doctor Strange, just as a palate cleanser, after Morbius. So I have that planned. I just don't know when to watch it. I can go
All
whenever.
right, man.
Yeah.
That sounds like a bunch of excuses to me.
Yeah.
But,
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, you go watch Morbius. Come on, you weakling. You weak.
I didn't. I watched two better movies, man.
Yeah, weak.
I used my time wisely.
You
I
coward.
only got so many years on this earth, man. I'm not gonna waste my time with that.
Yeah,
That's what I
yes.
told him, man. I was like, it's life's too short to watch bad
This-
movies and play bad games.
This man's gonna spend time on YouTube watching those mods for Resident Evil. Remember, Macho?
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
man.
Yeah.
I only got so much time. Might as well spend it doing shit that
Yeah,
I
but
enjoy.
don't watch it on YouTube, man. Go somewhere else. Go to the hub or something. I don't know.
Hey, man. It's never mind.
Yeah.
Anyway, as for me, getting more into Divinity this week, Horizon, and that's probably about it. So yeah, it's
Wow.
gonna do it for the podcast. Thank you guys for watching, and we will see you guys next week with episode 59. Peace.
Well, you gotta actually cut it out, Casey.
Dude, I'm actually. If you shut up, I was doing it. I was about to press it. All right, y'all. Peace. This is the outro.